Chapter 184. General Yenzhe. Demonic god Wu Yunhua spoke. He did not dare to underestimate this demigod-level abyssal at all. Even in the dark abyss, the demon god General Yenzhe was in a different layer of the abyss from him, and they were of completely different factions. Thus, in the dark abyss, General Yenzhe was not afraid of demonic god Wu Yunhua at all, much less now that he was in the Xia people's world. In the Xia people's world, these demon generals stood at the peak of power. All the demigods of the Xia people had to rely on their deity weapons to kill them. Thus, Wu Yunhua had to be polite and did not dare to offend them. After all, this General Yenzhe led a large group of demons that had almost completely infiltrated the 5 northern provinces. This time, his forces had been greatly weakened. If General Yenzhe gave another order, then in the future, it would be even harder for Wu Yunhua to spread his faith. He might even be completely destroyed. General Yenzhe being able to enter the material world is worth celebrating. Demonic god Wu Yunhua smiled, I won't be long-winded. I'm looking for General Yenzhe because a treasure of mine has fallen into the hands of Dongbu Shuang. Dongbu Shuang. General Yenzhe smiled, your treasure has fallen into the hands of a human transcendent. Why are you looking for a demon like me? Right now, he has a demigod of the Xia people by his side. His name is Eternal Wind Knight Qiu Qi Bai. Demonic god Wu Yunhua said, I wonder if General Yenzhe has the guts to take the treasure from them. With General Yenzhe's strength, killing Dongbu Shuang and suppressing Qiu Qi Bai is as easy as lifting a finger. Even the number 1 demigod of the Xia people, Mountain Lord He, is weaker than you. Thank you for your praise, demonic god. I really like what you said. If the Xia people's demigods did not have deity weapons, I alone could wipe out 10 of them. Unfortunately, their strongest demigods all wield deity weapons. I've seen Xia people's Mountain Lord He use his full strength. It is indeed very shocking. If I were to fight him one-on-one, I would not have any advantage. General Yenzhe smiled. I can suppress Qiu Qi Bai, but I need time to kill him. Furthermore, the demigods of the Xia people will soon arrive with their divine weapons. General Yenzhe had yet to exchange blows with the Xia people. However, he had secretly spied on the abilities of the demigods of the Xia people and had a clear judgment. If Lord Demonic God were to give me a divine artifact, I might be willing to take the risk. General Yenzhe looked at Demonic God Wu Yunhua. Ha, a divine artifact. In the dark abyss, I don't care about giving away a divine tool. But the world of the Xia people? I can't afford it. The entire Terrene Shrine and Bloodshed Tavern only have 1 or 2 divine equipment each. The demonic god Wu Yunhua shook his head. Sending a divine artifact to the mortal world. The price was too high. The Temple of the Earth God, the Bloodshed Tavern, and the demonic faction all had powerful backers behind them. But each of them only had 1 or 2 divine artifacts. This was because of the great existences behind them. For example, the Bloodshed Tavern, there were countless mortal worlds that had similar, Bloodshed Tavern. Every mortal world would give them 1 or 2 deity items, and the accumulation of countless worlds would be terrifying. Thus, they needed to consider whether the investment was worth it. In other words, the ancestors of the Xia people. The ancestors of the Xia people might not be able to compare with the existences behind the Temple of the Earth God and the demonic faction. But they really didn't ask for anything in return. They were willing to sacrifice for their homeland. Generation after generation, the Xia people accumulated deity items. Only then were they able to accumulate a few powerful deity items. Then why are you looking for me? General Yenzhe's face turned cold. Why? Do you think I'll be stupid enough to help you without any benefits? No, no, no. You're not helping me. You're helping yourself. The demonic god Wu Yunhua said, from what I know, you demon generals have already discussed in secret and confirmed the territories that you each occupy. The 5 provinces in the north are your territories, General Yenzhe. Yes. Yanzei nodded. The 5 provinces controlled by the Water Daoist faction were also the areas that the demon generals had discussed in secret and decided to be under Yanzei's control. Large groups of demons listened to Yanzei's orders. Of course, there were also 20 to 30% of the demons who no longer listened to orders after entering the mortal world. But most of these demons were killed by the Xia people in their madness. Only a few of them were smart enough to hide. But most of them still listened to orders. After all, only by relying on each other would they be able to survive in the Xia people's world. And one day, they would completely occupy this mortal world. Your main opponent is the Water Daoist faction. The demonic god Wu Yunhua said, the Water Daoist faction currently has 3 demigods, Si Kong Yang, Chao Qing, and Qiu Qi Bai. Si Kong Yang and Chao Qing have both reached the peak of demigod a long time ago. It's hard for them to improve any further. But Qiu Qi Bai has just become a demigod and has grasped hold of a grade 3 true meaning. In a few hundred years, he will definitely surpass Mountain Lord He. When that time comes, he will be your greatest enemy. Actually, I feel that the biggest threat to you is this Dongbu Shuang. He's not even 60 years old yet. His cultivation time is too short. His current strength is probably enough for him to enter the top 10 of the saint rankings among the Xia people. The demonic god Wu Yunhua said, his potential is even higher than Qiu Qi Bai's. Maybe in another 300 to 500 years, he will become the strongest existence among the Xia people. He will be your greatest enemy. If you die in the Xia people's world, you might die at his hands. Are you trying to sow discord? General Yanzei coldly asked. I'm not trying to sow discord. The demonic god Wu Yunhua said, the time you spent in the Xia people's world is too short. You have too little understanding of the Xia people and Dongbu Shuang. Even if I don't tell you, if you wait a little longer, you will truly understand the transcendence of the Xia people's world. You will also understand how great the threat of Dongbu Shuang's potential is. Don't tell me you want to be destroyed after 1,000 years in the human world. With your ambition, you will definitely want to devour countless human souls and raise them in captivity, providing an endless supply of souls, and even break through to the demonic god level, right? General Yanzei coldly snorted, of course. Raising countless humans in captivity, allowing them to reproduce. Then, he, General Yanzei, would carry out round after round of harvesting, devouring countless human souls. General Yanzei believed that his chances of becoming a demonic god would increase tenfold. I've said everything I need to say. The demonic god Wu Yunhua's face suddenly darkened. Damn it! He had been secretly monitoring Dongbu Shuang and Qiu Qi Bai from afar. But now, the demigod of the Xia people, the old man Chao Qing, was there as well. As a demon general, leading an army in battle, you should be very clear how to deal with a potential threat that can destroy you. The demonic god Wu Yunhua smiled. With a whoosh, the image on the crystal ball disappeared. Clearly, the demonic god Wu Yunhua had cut off contact. In the cold hall of the battleship, General Yanzei's back was facing his subordinates, silently looking at the crystal ball. Dongbu Shuang. General Yanzei muttered. Previously, he only thought that with Dongbu Shuang's strength, demons below the 5th level could not be defeated. But he really did not realize the threat of Dongbu Shuang. After all, his attention was focused on the demigods of the Xia people. He had been studying every single demigod of the Xia people, thinking of ways to kill these demigods of the Xia people. Since demons had come to the mortal world, their purpose was to kill and conquer. They did not want to hide all the time. Pass down my orders. Find Dongbu Shuang. General Yanzei said. The original location of the castle was within a huge pit. Dongbu Shuang and Qiu Qi Bai were curiously observing the demonic bath in front of them, which was emitting an evil aura. The countless tentacles of the bath were connected to the space of the Xia people's world. They had not moved them yet. Whoosh! The space was torn apart. A thin old man wearing slippers stepped on the void as he leisurely walked over. He was grinning at the distant Shuang and Qiu Qi Bai. Seeing the young transcendents, old man Chao Qing was very happy. This was the continuation of the race. You two little fellows, what treasure did you find that you need me to identify? Old man Chao Qing smiled as he walked over. At the same time, his gaze landed on the demonic bath. The moment he saw it, his eyes widened. You found this thing? Who was so lucky? Chapter 185. It's Snow Eagle. He was lucky enough to discover a demonic god's main altar. He even took the opportunity to kill a rank 4 demon. Finally, he found this demonic bath. Qi Qiu Bai laughed. I'm envious of him. This isn't some kind of bath. Old man Chao Qing grinned. A few of his teeth had fallen out. It was obvious that as he neared the end of his lifespan, he was also getting older. However, one could not underestimate him because of his age. His transcendent Do Qi would not weaken because of his age. His cultivation level would only increase. Vice head, what exactly is this? Dongbo Shuang was also very curious. Old man Chao Qing sat his butt on the side of the bath. He even touched it. Did that demonic god send down a projection? Is he trying his best to protect this treasure? Yes. Actually, I didn't even notice that demon at the start. It was that demon who ambushed me. That demonic god also used benefits to tempt me. At the same time, he used all sorts of threats. Dongbo Shuang said. Of course he tried his best to protect it. Old man Chao Qing said. Without this thing, this demonic god, the difficulty of spreading his faith in our Xia people's world will soar by 100 or even 1,000 times. I'm afraid that within a few hundred years, his faith in our Xia people's world will shrink by more than 90%. Ah! Dongbo Shuang and Qi Qiu Bai were both shocked. Could it be? Dongbo Shuang and Qi Qiu Bai both had their guesses. Yes, it is the legendary Devil's Well. Old man Chao Qing said. This demonic god Wu Yunhua had his Devil's Well discovered by you. No wonder he went crazy. Qi Qiu Bai laughed. He was really unlucky. The altar you discovered just so happened to have this Devil's Well. Divine wells and Devil's Wells were extremely important to demonic gods. Most of the demonic gods that spread their faith in the Xia people did not manage to build their own Devil's Well. However, the moment they did, their power would continuously expand. Amongst the demonic gods that the Xia people spread their faith to, they would probably be ranked in the top 10. What exactly was a Devil's Well? More accurately, it was a passage. It allowed the gods to send their own divine power to the mortal world as little as possible. Normally, the wells created by the gods were called divine wells. As for the demonic god, he built the demonic well. Because they were separated by such a great distance and there were countless spatial obstructions, it was extremely difficult to transmit divine power. Just by looking at the difficulty of descending a world projection, one could understand. And once the divine well was established, the loss of divine and fiend celestial powers would be greatly reduced. It was something the evil gods and fiend celestial could tolerate. Divine power and demonic god power had all kinds of wonders. For example, the demonic god power could easily demonize mortals. This was the origin of the so-called demonification emissary. At the same time, it could also strengthen one's body, greatly improve one's cultivation, and even allow one to quickly recover from serious injuries. In short, many of the fiend celestial's techniques needed to be executed through divine power and fiend celestial power. For example, Pseudo-Transcendent, the Terrene Shrine had used the divine powers in the divine well to cleanse their bodies, allowing their bodies to become extraordinary. In short, with the divine well and demonic well, many miracles could be created. Only then could countless humans, even star rankers and legend rankers, be willing to submit to them. Furthermore, with the demonification emissary and other techniques, their own forces would be strong enough. Those fiend celestial forces without the divine well and demonic well could not be compared. The demonic well had to be refined by the demonic god himself. Old man Chao Qing shook his head and sighed, how pitiful. After refining it, he had to pay a price that was 10 to 100 times the price of the demonic well itself before he could send it into the Xia people's world. This was the foundation of his faith. This time, you have destroyed his lifeblood. Just thinking about it makes him go crazy. These weaker fiend celestials are not like the Terrene Shrine or the Bloodshed Tavern, who could spread their faith in countless worlds. It is already not bad for them to be able to establish a foundation in a mortal world. Chao Qing shook his head, maybe after living for so many years, he only had a demonic well in a few mortal worlds. It might even be possible that this mortal world has a demonic well. Do you think it was easy for him to obtain faith? You destroyed it in an instant. Dongbui Shuang and Qiu Qibai laughed. Qiu Qibai hurriedly said, Vice Head Chao, let's not talk about this. Take a look, how much is it worth? How many contribution points can the Infernal Palace give? Why are you in such a hurry? Isn't this Dongbui Shuaying's? Old man Chao Qing stared. Snow Eagle is my good brother. I am happy for him. Can't I? Qiu Qibai retorted. Chao Qing glanced at Dongbui Shuang. Dongbui Shuang was filled with excitement and anticipation. Contribution points were good stuff. Cultivation required contribution points for all external resources. The higher one's strength, the more contribution points he would need in the future. This demonic well, compared to the few that our Xia people have obtained in the past, is considered average. Based on this, it should be worth 300,000 contribution points. Old man Chao Qing said, this toy is actually very precious to the demonic gods, but to us transcendents of the Xia clan, we can just dismantle it and use the rare materials. The contribution points given by the Infernal Palace are calculated according to the materials used. Understood. Dongbui Shuang nodded. This demonic well was refined by the demonic god Wu Yunhua into the mortal world. Only he could use it. As for the transcendence of the Xia people, they were not even deities. They could only dismantle the materials and use them. Even so, the Infernal Palace still gave 300,000 contribution points. 300,000 contribution points. Shuang was startled. A horse would not get fat if it was not fed at night. His own combat power had risen rapidly, and he had only obtained 100,000 contribution points after passing through the 100 battles chamber. But this was the foundation of a demonic god for countless years, allowing him to obtain 300,000 contribution points in one go. This was very normal. The reward from the 100 battles chamber was a form of nurturing by the Xia people. It was purely a gift. As for giving the demonic well to the Xia people, it was a fair trade. Wait, the price I mentioned is not valid. I will get the Palace Lord Chen to come over. Old man Chao Qing said. The original body of the Palace Lord Chen would always be in charge of the infernal realm. The one who tore through space and rushed over was the Battle Chi clone of the Palace Lord Chen. He checked carefully and understood the situation. Then, he congratulated Dongbui Shuang and offered 300,000 contribution points. Actually, there were many examples of giving treasures to the Xia people in exchange for contribution points. Even the Palace Lord Chen could not casually give it away. The order of the Xia people could not be disrupted. Snow Eagle. Old man Chao Qing instructed before leaving. That demonic god's foundation was destroyed by you. He must be furious. Even though his strength is not worth mentioning. You still have to be careful. I understand. Dongbui Shuang nodded. His parents and family were all in the Snow Eagle territory. His brother had not gone to the Eternal Wind Academy yet. There was nothing to be afraid of. When his brother wanted to go to the Eternal Wind Academy, he would just personally escort him. Moreover, every time the demonic god's projection stayed in the mortal world, it would consume a large amount of divine power. He could not stay for too long. Within a day, demon god Wu Yunhua's world projection would definitely disappear. As for descending again, the projection was the limit of a mortal. There was not much meaning in descending. Moreover, the demonic god had to consider whether it was worth it. No gains at all. Paying the price? Not many demonic gods would be that stupid. Very quickly, a few star rank experts from the Dragon Mountain Manor rushed over. This was the demonic god's main altar. Even though it had been completely destroyed, they still had to check carefully. Chao Qing, Qi Qiu Bai and the rest also left. Let's go. Seeing the people from the Dragon Mountain Manor starting to check the large amount of mortal items, there were actually a large amount of gold coins and even storage treasures. Clearly, both Dongbua Shuang and Qi Qiu Bai disdained to take those mortal items. After all, the Dongbua clan and the Eternal Wind clan were transcendent clans. They had a lot of treasures. Dongbua Shuang instantly soared into the sky. At the same time, he manipulated the power of heaven and earth within 100 li. With a loud explosion, the clouds within 100 li exploded. Countless shockwaves spread out in all directions. Demonic god Wu Yunhua, who had been secretly observing from afar, suddenly had a flash in his eyes. He could clearly see Dongbua Shuang in the distance. Suddenly, his expression changed. He could only see the shockwave in the region of 50 kilometers in midair. He could no longer see clearly. By the time the shockwave stopped, Wu Yunhua could no longer find Shuang. Chapter 186. Dongbua Shuang. The demonic god Wu Yunhua muttered, his voice filled with killing intent. What did it mean to break through with force? At this moment, the demonic god Wu Yunhua felt sullen. Although he was much stronger than any Xia people in this mortal world in terms of the laws of profound mysteries, the will of the mortal world had suppressed his strength to the mortal limit. As for Dongbua Shuang, his strength was at the peak of the transcendent saint realm. The difference between the two was too big. He was like an ant flexing its muscles in front of a giant. Dongbua Shuang only needed to control the explosion of the power of heaven and earth within 100 miles to turn that area into a dangerous place for him. The demonic god Wu Yunhua's strength and the laws of profound mysteries did not dare to penetrate that area. Once it did, it would be easily torn apart and annihilated. I have been working in this Xia people's world for countless years. I worked so hard to send the devil's well here, but now, it has all been destroyed by you. If we were in the dark abyss, I would definitely let you suffer 3,000 soul tortures. Just wait. I can't kill you, but that General Yen Zhe will definitely kill you. He had lived in the dark abyss for too long and was very clear about the survival rules of the demons. Although he had only interacted with General Yen Zhe a few times, he had long understood General Yen Zhe's character. He was very sure that after General Yen Zhe understood the terrifying potential of Dongbua Shuang, he would definitely not allow him to grow. Once he found an opportunity, he would immediately kill him. Who? The demonic god Wu Yunhua moved his body and disappeared in midair. Azure River County, Snow Eagle Territory. In the wilderness below the mountain, the fragrance of flowers permeated the air. The demonic god Wu Yunhua with his black robe, dark red skin, and gray horns appeared in this wilderness. At the same time, he raised his head and looked at the mountains in the distance. He stared at the most conspicuous and tallest mountain, Snowrock Mountain. At the peak of Snowrock Mountain, there was an ordinary-looking castle. There was even some snow on top of the castle. Dongbua Shuang, this is your home, Snowrock Castle. The demonic god Wu Yunhua smirked. I said before, you will regret it. I will destroy your castle first. Whoosh! He took a step. In an instant, he traversed dozens of miles and appeared above Snowrock Castle. What is this? Demonic god Wu Yunhua was shocked. He could feel a boundless energy filling up the space around him. The several kilometers around Snow Rock Castle was like a terrifying nightmare. Once the boundless energy was unleashed, even a peak demigod would be trapped for a long time. However, demonic god Wu Yunhua was too weak to break free from this power. Black Cloud Fire. Without hesitation, they attributed the two gigantic palms to Dongbu Shuang. This was because there was only one transcendent in Snow Rock Castle. If it wasn't Dongbu Shuang, who else could it be? Eldest young master is so powerful. As soon as that ugly, black-robed demon appeared, the eldest young master killed him in an instant. So powerful. I'm afraid that with a single slap from those gigantic palms, the entire castle would be razed to the ground. That's what a transcendent is. Even deities and demons have to retreat. The servants and guards were all whispering to each other. Dongbu Shuang, who was hovering in midair next to the main building of Snow Rock Castle, found it hard to quell the anger in his heart. This Wu Yunhua is truly like a haunting ghost. Since that's the case, it seems that I need to develop the mortal forces of the Dongbu family. Dongbu Shuang thought to himself, this way, I can destroy all of the faith of the demonic god Wu Yunhua even faster. A mere demonic god dares to threaten me across so many dimensions. When Dongbu Shuang saw the demonic god Wu Yunhua appear in the air above Snow Rock Castle, he couldn't suppress his anger any longer. If he was strong enough, he even wanted to charge into the dark abyss and kill that demonic god. However, he knew that he was still very weak. He only had the qualifications to look down on these deities and demonic gods in the mortal world. When he truly entered the dark abyss, he would only be a snack for the demonic god. Dongbu Shuaying's expression suddenly changed. He suddenly turned his head and looked towards the north. This was only his battle aura clone. It only had a small portion of its soul. Although it was at the same realm as his main body and had the same level of control over the heaven and earth powers. However, maintaining the heaven and earth powers for probing placed a burden on the soul. Although his main body felt a little tired, he could maintain it for long periods of time. However, the battle aura clone was unable to do so. This time, due to Wu Yunhua's attack, Dongbu Shuaying's avatar was able to control the heaven and earth powers. The heaven and earth powers he sensed could only cover an area of 50 kilometers. At that moment, he sensed, beside a field in the north, an extremely terrifying and evil aura appeared. Dongbu Shuang looked towards the north. Far below the mountain, beside an ordinary field, there was a thin and small fiend. The scales on his body were extremely beautiful, almost like a work of art. Although he was thin and small, the evil and terrifying aura seemed to envelop the entire world. At that moment, the thin fiend's golden eyes were staring at Dongbu Shuang, who was atop Snow Rock Castle in the distance. They were dozens of kilometers apart. Dongbu Shuang felt as though everything about him had been seen through. This feeling made him feel extremely uncomfortable. He instantly understood the huge difference in strength between them. The purple-armored thin fiend gave him a sense of threat that exceeded any other Xia people or demigod he had ever encountered. Dongbu Shuang immediately reported to the Infernal Palace. Soon, Palace Lord Chen informed Dongbu Shuang, Snow Eagle, the demigod-level demon you mentioned should be a terrifying existence called Yanzi that we know of. His strength was unfathomable. Up until now, he has never fought with us. He is very cautious. We know very little about him. All we know is that almost all of the demons behind the 5 northern provinces listen to his orders. Oh. Dongbu Shuang was shocked, all 5 northern provinces. Yes, he can be said to be the king of the demons in the 5 northern provinces, the true supreme leader. Palace Lord Chen said, he is also your water Daoist faction's biggest enemy in the future. We know too little about him, so we are currently gathering more detailed information. In short, do not fight with him, try your best to avoid him. Understood. Dongbu Shuang replied. Just now, he had a simple interaction with General Yanzai. From the sensing of the heavens and the earth, the evil and terrifying aura that was recklessly emitted was not normal. Because for normal experts, even if they did not deliberately restrain their aura, it would not be so violent. Either he deliberately released his demonic aura, or he was very cautious and only sent a demonic doppelganger over. That feeling. Dongbu Shuang frowned. It was very uncomfortable. It was as if everything about him had been seen through by the demigod demon Yanzai. This feeling of being seen through caused Dongbu Shuang to be extremely vigilant. At his level, what he felt was definitely not fake. There must be a reason for it. It should be some kind of power that was spying on him. Unfortunately, his level was too low, and he could not resist it at all. I heard that demigod demons can even fight against the top demigods of the Xia people when they wield a divine weapon. Dongbu Shuang sighed. In the end, there is still a gap between us Xia people's transcendence. Demons were mostly born naturally in the dark abyss. Very few were born from demons. They were even more talented than the primordial beings of the mortal world. Most Tier 5 demons possessed immortal bodies, not to mention demigod-ranked demons. Every single one of their bodies was tyrannical, and their demonic energy was even more tyrannical than transcendent Do Qi. It could be said that, in terms of basic talent, they completely suppressed the Xia people. Furthermore, the number of demons in the dark abyss was uncountable. How intense would the battles be? Their battle experience and the profound techniques they comprehended were more inclined towards close combat. In comparison, the Xia people's transcendents were much more peaceful, and their close combat was also much weaker. Next, my water Taoist faction's greatest enemy. Dongbu Shuaying's eyes flashed. General Yanzai. The highest leader of the demons in the 5 northern provinces, General Yanzai, appeared at Snow Rock Castle and then disappeared without a trace. Although Si Kong Yang, Chao Qing and Qi Qiu Bai were all searching for him, they could not find him. Dongbu Shuaying's main body continued to search for traces of the demons in the Tranquil Sun province. This time, he was heading towards the north. Previously, he had failed to keep watch at Water Rights Town and other places, so he gave up. Walking in the mountain village. Walking on the official road. Walking in the city. Everywhere he went, Dongbu Shuang maintained his heaven and earth energy to scan the area within 100 li. However, all the demons in the Tranquil Sun province seemed to have disappeared, and there were no traces of them at all. Dongbu Shuang even tried to help the weak and wanted to lure out a big fish like last time. Last time, he killed a grade 4 demon and obtained a demon well in exchange for 300,000 contribution points. Unfortunately, not to mention the demons, he didn't even find a single evil god or demon god main altar. On the other hand, many of the nobles and bandits who caused trouble in the region were killed. The cold wind blew. The further north he went, the colder it got. The land became more and more sparsely populated. One couldn't see the end of the snow plains, and within tens of hundreds of miles, one could only see a small village. Commoners drove their sleds and traveled, and it was tough for them to survive in this cold land. They could barely survive here. Further north was the true northern snow plains, which spanned hundreds of thousands of miles. It was a forbidden area for mortals. The entire land is white, so clean. Dongbu Shuang walked on the snow, leaving a long trail of footprints. During these few months, because he purposely helped the weak, he saw too much evil and his mood was affected. Now that he came to the north of the Tranquil Sun province and walked on the desolate snow plains, his heart calmed down, and his soul seemed to have been cleansed. Heaven and earth is indeed boundless. Dongbu Shuang stood on the peak of a snow mountain and looked out. The land was white, and occasionally there were some frozen lakes and trees. It was indeed really vast. Dongbu Shuang sat cross-legged on the peak. He took out a flask of wine and drank as he looked at the scenery. He felt that the view from the snow mountain was a form of enjoyment. It was endless. His eyesight was already shocking, but he still couldn't see the end of the snow plains. The land is vast and can carry everything. Dongbua Shuang muttered to himself. Something in his mind seemed to have been touched. Earth, Dongbua Shuaying's eyes were a little lost. His heart was totally one with the land and sky. The power of everything in the world surged. The agile wind, the surging flames, the gentle and indiscernible water. As for the land, it was formed from the thick power of the earth. It was boundless and carried everything. Chapter 189. This is too beautiful. Dongbua Shuang had walked on the road countless of times since he was young, but he had never felt so intoxicated by the earth before. It was vast and boundless. It was like his parents' chest. It was like the foundation of the entire world. Grass and trees grew, the fragrance of flowers filled the garden, birds soared, streams flowed, all of these were embellishments to the earth. The earth was filled with vitality because of the myriad of living things, and the myriad of living things had a bearing because of the earth, and was no longer an empty castle. The earth. The world. Dongbua Shuang closed his eyes. His heart was completely focused. Although he could see at any time in the past, it was only today that Dongbua Shuang discovered the beauty of the earth. Its beauty lay in the countless rocks and soil, and even more so in the countless rocks and soil that formed the vast earth. A single grain of sand might seem unremarkable, but when countless grains of sand and soil are gathered together, that would be the bearing of everything, the earth. The black-robed youth sat cross-legged on the snowy mountain peak. He was immersed in the boundless beauty of the earth. Specks of earthy yellow light started to appear and revolve around him. These countless specks of light, it was like the warmth in his mother's womb. It encompassed everything. Dongbua Shuaying's profound mystery of the earth had obviously stepped into the first level of the realms of myriad existences. The profound mystery of any myriad of living things was extremely vast, and could be comprehended from different angles. Some people comprehended the profound mystery of space, and first comprehended the teleportation section, like Pu Yangbo. Some people comprehended the shadow space section, like Yufeng. Some people comprehended the space edge section, like Zhang Peng. The same logic. The profound mystery of the earth was separated into many directions. Dongbua Shuang first comprehended the profound mystery of the earth, encompassing and bearing. Bearing everything, encompassing everything. He sat on the snowy mountain peak for half a month. His body was covered with snow, turning him into a snowman. Obviously, it was his first time comprehending the profound mystery of the earth, fire, water, and wind. This allowed Dongbua Shuang to comprehend the profound mystery of the earth. Pang! The snow suddenly exploded, scattering in all directions. Dongbua Shuang stood there. Who would have thought that I would be able to raise the profound mystery of earth to the second level of the realms of myriad existences in one go? Dongbua Shuang was shocked as well. It took him around 7 years to advance from the first level of profound mystery of fire to the second level, while profound mystery of water only took 1 to 2 years, and profound mystery of wind was even faster. And this time, the profound mystery of the earth was even faster. The main thing was that these 4 types of profound mysteries fused with each other very easily. If he chose the right path, his efficiency would naturally be very high. Back then, he had comprehended the profundities of water because he had felt that something was too hard to break. The combination of water and fire was also a matter of course. He felt that it lacked nimbleness and change, so he comprehended the profundities of wind. Because it was what he urgently needed, it was easy for him to integrate it. And this time, the profound mystery of the earth that he had comprehended was about tolerance and bearing. It could bear the weight of all things and encompass all things. Naturally, it could also contain water, fire, and wind. While they verified each other, their progress was also extremely fast, and they had even begun to gradually merge. On the other hand, After stepping into the saint realm, his soul had become stronger, and his efficiency and comprehension had naturally increased. I wonder if it will affect the balance of the embryonic true meaning of extreme piercing. Dongbo Shuang furrowed his brows as he thought to himself. This was what he was most worried about. Even though he felt that there shouldn't be any problems, since he wasn't sure, he couldn't say for sure. The fusion of profound mysteries, wasn't that the more the better? For example, it was extremely rare for water, fire, and wind to form extreme piercing. If one more profound mystery was added, it would be like drawing legs on a snake, and it might even destroy the balance. Destroying the embryonic true meaning. Even though in theory, extremity was the beginning and the end of everything, as long as they were fused well, there shouldn't be any balance. But this was just in theory. Knowing the theory didn't mean that one could do it. Everyone knew about spacetime, but how many could actually control spacetime? Let's give it a try. Dongbo Shuang continued walking. He walked down this snowy mountain and walked on the ground. He walked around the various places, passing by villages and looking at the lives of the people in the cities. He walked in the middle of them, yet he felt like he was standing alone. This feeling of loneliness, on the contrary, Dongbo Shuang felt a faint joy in his heart. When he was flipping through the demigod dossiers, he had once seen this sentence: a human soul will only emit the radiance of wisdom when it is in solitude. If one were to mingle with the crowd and follow the crowd, their soul would be shrouded in a layer of dust, and their wisdom would be obscured. Solitude will allow the soul to gradually become clear, becoming as clear as glass, and naturally, wisdom will be born. At this moment, Dongbo Shuang was more and more in agreement with this sentence. When he was young, he wholeheartedly practiced his spear. Even though he was in Snowrock Castle, he didn't care about anything else. He wholeheartedly practiced his spear as though he was possessed, and his spear techniques improved extremely quickly. Later on, he cultivated alone in his bamboo house, and didn't even need a servant. It was only when he entered the Xia capital and was chosen to enter the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world that he was reprimanded by faction head Si Kong Yang and Master Gong Yu. During that period of time, he had indeed hesitated and hesitated. He questioned his heart time and time again, and even flipped through countless dossiers. In the end, he steeled his heart and ignored the reprimands of faction head Si Kong Yang and the others. He wholeheartedly walked on his own path. His path might be lonely, but he was willing to endure it. But it was clear that as he wholeheartedly immersed himself in it, and without any interference from others, his improvement became even faster. He even grasped the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing during the battle on the mountain road. And when he returned home, he traveled everywhere and observed the lives of countless mortals. This was the true meaning of solitude. After stepping into the saint realm, his soul became even clearer, and he finally found a profound mystery that he had always been lacking, the profound mystery of the earth. This profound mystery that could bear the weight of all living things was exactly what he needed. Crunch crunch. Standing beside a mountainous region in the north of the tranquil Sun province, a group of bandits' corpses lay on the ground. The few remaining members of the caravan were still in a state of shock. "Thank you, my lord, for saving our lives." "Thank you, my lord." Among the remaining members of the caravan, there were old people, young people, and even children. After all, during such a long journey, there would be some families following the caravan, and it would be safer for them. Take the weapons of these bandits and reach the city in front as soon as possible. After saying that, Dongbo Shuaying's body flashed as he disappeared into the nearby mountain. On the surface, the strength he displayed was only at the level of a silver moon knight. As transcendents, they had to be extremely cautious when searching for traces of demons, because demons were also searching for them. At the peak of the mountain. Standing at the peak of the mountain, Dongbo Shuang looked at the departing caravan and shook his head. Bandits are everywhere, and the lives of the commoners are tough. Even though they know that this is beneficial to the Xia people, they still feel terrible. Even so, they still feel terrible. He understood after reading countless scrolls. For the Xia people to be able to survive in this mortal world, they had experienced many trials and tribulations. Thus, the Xia people had to make life difficult for the commoners, and there were also bandits. Under all sorts of threats, the commoners would not be satisfied with their current situation. Some of them would join the army, learn battle chi, and even work hard to become mages. This would allow them to become stronger through the countless life and death experiences. If the world was peaceful and comfortable, the number of people who chose the path of life and death would be few and far between. The number of transcendents born by the Xia people would also decrease rapidly, and the Xia people would weaken generation after generation. Eventually, they would lose their position as the ruler of the mortal world, and even be exterminated. I hope that in the future, the Xia people will be able to prosper forever. The countless commoners will no longer have to suffer. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. Dongbua Lai and his wife treated the commoners very well. The taxes they collected from the commoners were the lowest, and they did their best to protect the commoners' safety. Thus, Dongbua Lai and his wife had always been loved and respected by the commoners. Since young, Dongbua Shuang had been influenced by what he saw. Similarly, he hoped that the commoners would have a better life. Xiao. Dongbua Shuang casually stabbed out with his finger. His finger pierced through the layers of space, seemingly disappearing for an instant before reappearing 1 chi away. Extreme piercing. A smile appeared on Dongbua Shuang's face. Indeed, it did not break the balance. With the fusion of earth, fire, water, and wind, Dongbua Shuang had gone through many adjustments before finally reaching the perfect state in his heart. The current extreme piercing seems to have become more stable. Its power has also increased by 30%. Dongbua Shuang estimated. Even though it had only increased by 30%, it was still considered an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. The slight increase in power was a small matter. More importantly, the fusion of earth, fire, water, and wind did not destroy the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing. A grade 2 true meaning was on the same level as the complete true meaning of space. Right now, it was just an embryonic form. In the future, once he grasped the complete true meaning of extreme piercing, it would be a qualitative change. Even though Dongbua Shuang pursued the pinnacle of his spear techniques, if he were to really destroy a grade 2 true meaning, he would feel a heartache. Chapter 190. Snowrock Castle. A streak of light descended from the sky, landing before the castle gates in a flash. It's the eldest young master. The eldest young master has returned. The castle guards were overjoyed. Ever since Dongbua became a marquis and became the lord of Snow Eagle territory, they would still address Dongbua Shuang as the eldest young master. The castle gates opened. Dongbua Shuang immediately spotted the white-clothed Jing Qiu. Standing there, she looked like a fairy. She was known as the #1 beauty among the transcendents of the Xia people. She could even be considered the #1 beauty of the entire Xia people. Many of the guards and servants in Snowrock Castle, regardless of whether they were male or female, couldn't help but be affected by Jing Qiu's beauty. This was even after Jing Qiu used a small spell to make it difficult for the guards and servants to see her face clearly. Senior brother Snow Eagle. Jing Qiu was overjoyed. Jing Qiu. Dongbua Shuang walked over. Jing Qiu naturally hooked her arm around Dongbua Shuang's. The two had long since become intimate. Why did you only return now? You returned half a month later than me. Jing Qiu smiled. Why did you spend so much effort searching for demons? I heard that many transcendents failed to find any clues. The demons have all hidden themselves. I was comprehending my spear techniques and accidentally overdid it, Dongbua Shuang said. Speaking of which, I even killed a tier 4 demon this time. Ah. You killed one. Jing Qiu was shocked. A tier 4 demon. The reward of killing a tier 4 demon was 10,000 contribution points. It was enough to attract many transcendents. However, the difficulty of killing a Tier 4 demon was extremely high. You have to keep this a secret, Dongbo Shuang said hurriedly. Yes, yes. Jing Qiu nodded. She felt very happy for Dongbo Shuang. He had only been cultivating for a short period of time, yet he could already kill a demon ranked on the saint list. He would definitely become a demigod in the future. Brother. Inside the castle, a group of people came to welcome them. The handsome Qing Shi brought his girlfriend Daya, Dongbo Lai and his wife, Uncle Zong and Uncle Tong. As for Daya's sister, Dai Lu, and her boyfriend, Kong Yuan Feng, they had already returned to the Eternal Wind Academy. Dongbo Shuang couldn't help but smile brightly at the welcoming party. These were his family members. Half a year to search for traces of the evil demon, and half a year to rest. Almost every transcendent was like this. Regardless of whether Dongbo Shuang was in the Snow Rock Castle or searching for traces of demons, he was wholeheartedly focused on his spear arts. The demons hid themselves very well. Only a few level 1 and 2 demons could not resist the temptation to devour human souls. The transcendents of the Xia people searched for them painstakingly. Only when they finally found them did they realize, after a year or two, all they found were level 1 and 2 demons. The Xia people understood as well. This was the calm before the storm. Demon wars were always tragic, and this kind of holing up was very abnormal. It would not last for long. Dongbo Shuang also made use of this time to train his spear arts. Hu, the cold wind howled, and snow flew everywhere. At the beginning of the year, it was the coldest time of the year. At the peak of Snow Rock Mountain, Jing Qiu walked over from afar and saw Dongbo Shuang practicing his spear arts. Extreme piercing was a pure offensive true intent. The reason why Dongbo Shuang was searching for other profound mysteries was to perfect his spear arts. And now, he was using the profound mysteries of the earth to encompass water, fire, and wind. To completely encompass and merge into one. This was the kind of vastness and harmony of the earth that he was pursuing. Rumble, following Dongbo Shuaying's repeated adjustments, his spear arts continued to evolve. The laws of profound mysteries continued to be adjusted and perfected. Senior Snow Eagle usually stops after 6 hours of practice. Why hasn't he stopped today? Jing Qiu was curious as she watched from afar. She was here to call Dongbo Shuang for lunch. Sister Jing Qiu, why hasn't my brother come for lunch? The food is getting cold. So, Qing Shi's figure flashed as he rushed over from afar. Don't be anxious, don't disturb your brother's training. Jing Qiu said, since your brother has been training non-stop, he naturally has his own plans. You guys can eat first, don't wait. Oh. Qing Shi watched from the side for a while before muttering, I don't understand at all. So, he then left. His realm and Dongbo Shuaying's were too far apart. Although Dongbo Shuaying had given his brother some rare items from the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world, his brother was still stuck at the Silver Moon Mage realm. Wanting to step into the legend rank was obviously not an easy task. After Dongbo Shuaying stepped into the saint rank, normal resources would no longer be of much help to him. Only the truly rare and top-notch resources would be of little use. However, those resources were extremely precious. Even if he threw in 100,000 origin stones, he wouldn't be able to buy much of them. Furthermore, the benefits wouldn't be too exaggerated. Since that was the case, he might as well focus on his cultivation. The more he focused on his cultivation, the faster he would be able to improve. The snow was getting heavier. Jing Qiu could feel that Dongbo Shuaying's spear arts were getting stronger and stronger. Boom boom boom, Dongbo Shuaying's spear arts suddenly became incomparably heavy. Every move he made seemed to contain a terrifying might. The surrounding space seemed to have solidified, forming a gigantic sphere within 100 meters. Everything within the sphere was distorted, making it hard to see clearly. What's wrong? Jing Qiu looked on nervously. She discovered that the 100-meter-wide sphere was emitting a terrifying pressure. She was afraid that just a tiny bit of it would be enough to crush her to death. Inside the sphere, the cliff beneath Dongbu Shuiying's feet had already turned into dust. His entire body was floating in midair. When the four profound mysteries of earth, fire, water, and wind had completely merged into one, reaching the pinnacle of beauty that he was pursuing, everything began to change. The surrounding space started to solidify, and the gravity started to change. Faintly, Dongbu Shuiying seemed to see the vast snowy plains of the north. He seemed to see deserts, oases, plains, fields, snowy plains, deserts, oases, plains, mountains. There were weeds growing everywhere, dead trees crooked, rivers flowing, wild beasts sprinting, people dancing around bonfires, villagers cooking, smoke rising from the chimneys, armies galloping on horseback, and the earth quaking. There was wind blowing, seeds growing, flowers growing, water flowing, soil reviving, people relying on fire to survive, and everything was shrinking rapidly. Or perhaps, his field of vision was enlarging unceasingly. Dongbu Shuiying saw everything. After the boundless land shrank rapidly, it actually turned into a gigantic sphere. It was a star. The star rotated slowly on its own. There were many living things growing on it, including humans and beasts. Star. Dongbu Shuiying vaguely understood. The earth could bear the weight of all living things, eventually forming a star. It was the most perfect star. That's right. True inclusiveness should be perfect, without edges or corners. And the star was a perfect sphere. Every part of the earth was equal. The star was the most perfect form of the earth that conformed to the laws of nature. Today was the second night watch period. Tomorrow, the fourth night watch period would be completed. Chapter 191. Dongbu Shuiying stood in midair. With him at the center, everything within a 100-meter radius became distorted and blurry. The surface of his body was faintly protected by the laws of profound mysteries. His entire being was like the ruler of the surrounding space, with everything revolving around him. Who would have thought that using the earth to bear the weight of water, fire, and wind would allow me to grasp the embryonic form of the true meaning of star, Dongbu Shuiying thought. The true meaning of extreme piercing, it was not recorded in the 9-grade true meanings passed down in the deity world. But the true meaning of star was recorded within. The true meaning of star was classified as a grade 2 true meaning in the deity world. As a grade 2 true meaning, it was also a legendary true meaning with unfathomable power. Those who grasped the true meaning of star were extremely frightening. Their bodies were like stars. The true meaning of star's defense was as hard to shake as the stars themselves. Furthermore, every move they made was like a star smashing out. It was truly boundless strength. Furthermore, their bodies were like stars, forming an extremely powerful gravitational force around them. Thus, when experts who grasped the true meaning of star battled the gravitational force around them, any ordinary saint transcendents who dared to intrude would most likely have their bodies crushed by the gravitational force and die on the spot. This was an extremely balanced grade 2 true meaning. Extreme piercing was extremely extreme. Its attacks were extremely powerful. Currently, Dongbu Shuiying had only grasped the embryonic form of it. Thus, its power was not obvious. In reality, the true meaning of space was also an extremely balanced grade 2 true meaning. Its offense, defense, domain, and many other aspects were all balanced. An expert who grasped the complete true meaning of space could easily traverse between normal space, shadow space, and the layers of space. Teleportation was also extremely easy. He could even use his control over space to toy with and kill his opponent. The true meaning of star was the same. It was extremely balanced. His body was like a star, with an unshakable defense. His attacks were also extremely powerful. Furthermore, his surrounding gravity domain could suppress his opponent. When he battled, he was like a star, crushing everything in his path. Even though it was not unpredictable, such a direct suppression would give his opponent a huge headache. Grade 2 True Meaning. Dongbo Shuang pondered. Extreme piercing is a grade 2 true meaning, and the true meaning of star is also a grade 2 true meaning. Right now, I have grasped hold of the embryonic forms of 2 different grade 2 true meanings. He had already grasped the embryonic form. As long as he continued to perfect it, it wouldn't be long before he would be able to grasp the complete true intent. 2 grade 2 true meanings. It was heaven-defying. My marksmanship has also made up for many of my flaws. Dongbo Shuang tried to execute his spear techniques. His spear danced about, and every single move he made contained a tremendous amount of power. In terms of strength and defense, Dongbo Shuang was extremely proficient. It's a pity that it isn't a grade 1 true meaning. Dongbo Shuang revealed a smile. He did have a glimmer of hope. Earth, water, fire, and wind, he felt that he might be able to form a perfect grade 1 true meaning. But what was a grade 1 true meaning? That was a legend among legends. It represented the true peak and most perfect true intent. In all aspects, be it reality or illusion, strength or speed, domain or soul, life or death, a grade 1 true meaning was perfect in all aspects. Even if one did not specialize in a certain aspect, they would still have the ability to protect themselves. For example, a terrifying existence who had grasped hold of the true meaning of extremity, even if he could not control time, if he met someone who could, the threat they posed to him would be greatly reduced. Because his body was like a point of extremity, time acceleration, time stopping, the effects of an extremity would be greatly reduced. Thus, every single person who grasped hold of a grade 1 true meaning was extremely terrifying. As their true meaning grew stronger, it would become even more mysterious and unfathomable. The true meaning of star, with its heaven-defying defense and strength, could even be considered a grade 2 true meaning. Of course, it was still a legendary true meaning. The more profound mysteries one could fuse together, the better it would be. Sometimes, there would even be a side effect of drawing legs on a snake. For the sake of making up for the 3 true meanings of water, fire, and wind, Dongbo Shuang had to ponder over them for a long time. It was only after seeing the shocking scene of the northern snowy plains that he was inspired to comprehend the true meaning of earth. How could a grade 1 true meaning be so easy? Dongbo Shuang was not disappointed. Instead, he was quite happy. Grade 1 true meaning, that was just a dream. It was purely a goal, a dream that he pursued. It was normal for him to not be able to achieve it. Because in the deity world, in the countless mortal worlds, and in the dark abyss, this was a legend. If he could achieve it, it would be a huge surprise. Being able to grasp the embryonic form of the true meaning of star this time, Dongbo Shuang was already very satisfied. After all, extreme piercing was too extreme. Perhaps when he grasped hold of the complete true meaning in the future, his attacks would become even more terrifying. But if he was lacking in other aspects, he would be easily countered by his enemies. With the true meaning of star, his other aspects had been supplemented, and he no longer had any obvious flaws. He retracted all his energy. With Dongbo Shuang at the center, the sphere of void within 100 meters automatically dissipated. Snowflakes continued to fall. However, the cliff where he was originally training his spear had disappeared. Dongbo Shuang stepped on the air and walked towards Jing Qiu, who was watching the battle from afar. Senior disciple Snow Eagle, you seem to be in a good mood. Did you gain something? Jing Qiu was very excited. Dongbo Shuang smiled and nodded his head. Looking at that void sphere, it seemed to be very terrifying. I felt that I would lose my life if I were to enter it. Jing Qiu exclaimed. It's still too early. It's only an embryonic form of true meaning. Dongbo Shuang said. The embryonic form of true meaning was still very weak. The radius of the gravity domain was also very small, only 100 meters around him. Its power was also very weak. A peak sky realm transcendent would most likely die within the domain. Gravity acted on every part of the body, including the internal organs and the brain. Hence, even a peak sky realm transcendent's head would be warped and turned into a paste, dying on the spot. To directly kill a peak saint transcendent, one had to grasp the complete true meaning. Let's go. Let's return. Dongbu Shuang looked at the sky. I reckon it will be time for dinner soon. In the afternoon, Qing Shi came to call for you. I told him not to wait. Fortunately, he didn't. He waited until the sky turned dark. Jing Qiu laughed. Qing Shi. Dongbu Shuang shook his head inwardly. When he was young, he doted on Qing Shi too much. When he fell into the black wind abyss, his little brother started to work hard. But it was very difficult to change a character that had been nurtured since young. From Dongbu Shuaying's point of view, his little brother could be considered hardworking and was considered outstanding amongst mortals. But from his own cultivation experience, his little brother lacked a type of focus, which required him to abandon all mundane matters and focus all of his spiritual energy on cultivation. Forget it. Even though I've said it many times, it's still impossible for others to help with cultivation. I've let him live too comfortably in his youth. Dongbu Shuang thought. If he could do it all over again, he might not be able to bear to treat his little brother too harshly. Dongbu Shuang and Jing Qiu walked side by side towards Snowrock Castle. The two of them left a continuous trail of footprints on the snowy ground. Today seemed like an ordinary day. In reality, the first person in the history of the Xia people to grasp two embryonic forms of grade 2 true meanings was born. Day after day passed. The transcendents of the Xia people searched everywhere, hoping to find traces of demons and kill them. But the demons were all holed up, causing the world of the Xia people to calm down. November, 9665. Waves crashed against the shore. On one of the isolated mountains by the shore, there was a secluded castle. Within the castle, there were many guards patrolling. This was the residence of a powerful demigod existence of the Xia people. Before the invasion of the demons, the majority of demigods would focus on cultivation in order to become a god. Thus, they would choose a secluded place to focus on their cultivation. Cultivating by the sea was considered a relatively common thing. Inside the castle, in a secret hall, two huge black oil lamps were emitting sizzling sounds. The oil inside the oil lamps was dark red in color, while the flames were green in color. A faint, strange fragrance filled the entire hall. A figure stood there, his entire body shrouded in black fog, making it difficult for others to see his appearance. In front of him, there was a crystal ball floating in the air. On top of the crystal ball, 5 images appeared simultaneously. Each of the 5 images depicted a frightening demon with different appearances. There was a tall, ice-blue demon, a skinny demon with purple scales, an enchanting female demon with fiery red scales, a towering demon with a towering body. 5 generals, the figure in black fog said. First chapter. The second chapter would be updated soon. A large number of demons hid their auras and identities and mingled in the human world, gathering more and more information. This allowed them to more or less understand the world of the Xia people. In the abyss, the 5 demon generals had experienced many battles and knew the importance of knowing oneself and the enemy. Therefore, they were willing to spend a few years to endure and try their best to understand the situation of the Xia people. Only then did he decide on how to cooperate with the demonic faction. 8 large transcendent worlds and over 100 small transcendent worlds. Very good. We have endured for so long. The Xia people transcendents wouldn't think that we would continue to endure, right? It's time for us to take action. The 5 demon generals were all looking forward to it. This was the most important part of their plan. Only with the help of the small transcendent world could they form an absolute advantage over the Xia people. Then I wish you all success in advance. The figure in the black fog said. Your demonic faction should also be careful. We do not know the transcendence of your demonic faction. If we accidentally kill one of your transcendents, then there's nothing we can do. The female demon general's voice was very pleasant to hear. Be obedient and hide as much as possible. Don't reveal any flaws. Otherwise, even if we kill you, it will be in vain unless you tell us the identity of the transcendents of the demonic faction. Our identity cannot be exposed. The figure in the black fog said. Rest assured, our transcendents of the demonic faction will be careful. Asterisk 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 night, within the borders of the Tranquil Sun province. On the side of the official road, there was a group of people camped, setting up tents and lighting a bonfire. Puchi. A massacre was occurring within the group. Some of them had taken out their weapons and secretly attacked their companions. This was an ordinary caravan, and the strongest person in the group was only a heaven-rank knight. Facing a sneak attack without any warning, their companions were all killed. From the looks of it, this was a very ordinary internal strife within the group. The killing methods were also very ordinary. Alright, the other hindrances have been dealt with. Dozens of people stood beside the bonfire. Let's go. One of the lean men opened his mouth. With a stretch of his hand, his fingers suddenly turned into sinister and sharp claws. The magic within his body also naturally spread out. If there was a transcendent heaven and earth energy enveloping this place, it would immediately be determined that this was a demon or a transcendent of the demonic faction. The transcendents of the demonic faction cultivated magic power, and their bodies also had magic hidden within. It was just that they usually restrained their magic power. With a casual swipe of his sharp claws, space was directly torn apart. Go! The lean man released his magic power, wrapping the dozens of people around him. Who? In an instant, they entered the crack in space, which quickly closed up. Within the turbulent and chaotic space, the dozens of people arrived. General, he has already reached the outskirts of the small transcendent world. Help us guard it. The lean man's entire body began to change, turning into a demon with black scales and a red horn. The other dozens of people also changed, revealing their original forms. All of them were demons. This time, they had been ordered to gather. Being cautious, they had all gathered in the form of mortals. Bang! Under the escort of the black-armored, red-horned demon, this large group of demons shuttled through the space between the two layers. In a breath's time, they arrived at another part of the space between the two layers. They saw that in front of them, there was an oval-shaped world connected to the inner membrane of the Xia people's world. You're here. The thin purple-armored demon appeared out of nowhere. There are no Xia people's demigods guarding this place. Go in. Yes, General. The dozens of demons all acknowledged the order. The membrane of this oval-shaped world was torn open, and they all entered. General Yen Zhe watched this scene with anticipation in his eyes. To prevent any careless mistakes, he had sent one of his demonic doppelgangers to help guard this place. He was worried that the Xia people's demigods were here. This was because the team he had sent this time was too important. They were the true elites of the demons under his command. He had a total of 6 rank 5 demons under his command, and he had sent 3 this time. Thus, the price of any losses would be too high. His demonic doppelganger rushed over to check ahead of time. There were indeed no Xia people's demigods guarding this transcendent world. That's right, there were over 100 small-scale transcendent worlds. How many human demigods were there? Within the small-scale transcendent world, dozens of evil demons flew in, and the black-armored, red-horned evil demon in the lead coldly said, "This place will be our territory in the future, I don't want to see any trouble. Kill all the transcendent natives in this small world. Leave none alive." Yes. Among them were 3 rank 5 demons, 6 rank 4 demons, a group of rank 3 demons, and a few weak demons with high talents. Even the group of rank 3 demons were all peak saint level transcendents. Not to mention that the strongest of them was ranked first on the saint leaderboard, almost comparable to a demigod. When such a large group of existences joined forces, they were comparable to half of the saint leaderboard. Furthermore, they were either immortal or had terrifying vitality. If they were to fight, even the top 30 of the saint leaderboard would find it difficult to gain an advantage in a life and death battle. As for the saint leaderboard, it was a list of humans, transcendent natives, and beasts. Thus, even if the human experts on the saint leaderboard joined forces, they would still be on par with this team. In this small-scale transcendent world, they were practically invincible. Asterisk second update. Within 2 hours, all the transcendent natives in this transcendent world were swept away. Other than 3 who were captured alive, the rest were all killed. These demons immediately began to build palaces for their future residences. After spending 4 hours, a luxurious palace that covered an area of over 100 miles was completed. These demons lived in different areas of the palace according to their status. Contact the general. Within the main hall of the palace, a group of evil demons had gathered, and one of them, a red-horned evil demon, gave the order. Yes. A weak evil demon answered respectfully. The magic power in his body flew out and formed an image in front of him. General Yen Zhe was on the screen. Wu Lang. The thin, small, violet-armored fiend, General Yen Zhe, spoke. General, we are ready. We await your orders at any time, the Crimson Horn demon said respectfully. The other demons were also extremely respectful. Through the membrane of the world, communication treasures could not be used to communicate. However, due to the countless wars in the dark abyss, they had long since developed a way to deal with them. Amongst the countless weak evil demons, the demonic gods used cruel secret arts to nurture the heart-linking evil demons. This allowed 2 evil demons to sense each other's souls, allowing them to communicate even across 1 or 2 worlds. Unless the distance was too great, with too much space separating them. In the dark abyss, there were too many weak evil demons. Hence, the demonic gods did not care and cruelly nurtured them. Every evil demon army would have a few of these heart-linking evil demons. June, 9666. Discovered Xia people transcendence. The weak evil demon reported. Finally, a Xia people transcendent. Let me go. I'll go. The evil demons were all excited and excited. Don't argue. I'll go this time. The Crimson Horn demon grinned and stuck out his scarlet tongue. Wu Lang, it's my turn this time. Wu Lang, you will have plenty of chances in the future. Let me go. The other 2 rank 5 evil demons wanted to go as well. The savagery in their bones made them thirsty for slaughter. Furthermore, killing a Xia people transcendent would give them a chance to obtain the soul of a transcendent. That was even more precious than the souls of tens of thousands of mortals. The Crimson Horn demon sneered, you too. Can you two tear through space on your own? We have subordinates. The other 2 rank 5 evil demons were somewhat unwilling. Amongst rank 4 and 3 evil demons, there were some who had talent in space. This time, the rank 3 evil demons they had brought with them were especially talented in this field. This is our first mission. We have to be perfect. So I'll go. The 2 of you can go next time. The Crimson Horn demon grinned. It's settled then. Hua. Immediately, a large amount of demonic energy flew out and formed a demonic doppelganger. Rip. The Crimson Horn demon waved his hand and tore open a crack in the transcendent world. The demonic doppelganger entered. The demonic doppelganger's entire body was made of demonic energy. It was unable to absorb energy from the outside world. Its existence and every action would constantly consume demonic energy. Once its demonic energy was depleted, it would die. The demonic doppelganger's soul would also be destroyed. Thus, a normal, chi doppelganger or demonic doppelganger would rush back to the main body before it was depleted. Schwa. The Crimson Horn Demon's demonic doppelganger tore open the inner membrane of the Xia people's world and once again arrived at the Xia people's world. Schwa. His demonic doppelganger already knew the location of the Xia people's transcendent. It also knew what this transcendent looked like. It directly tore through the void and rushed over. Qingling Shu stood in a mansion, her face full of anger. The mansion was filled with rivers of blood. However, there were many children in tattered clothes standing there, their faces sallow and emaciated, trembling with fear. This group of heartless scum. They are not fit to be called humans. Qingling Shu was incomparably angry. Although she had become a transcendent, her personality had always been cheerful and straightforward. She could not bear to see things that were too dark. The moment she saw it, she would definitely intervene. Children, wait here for a while. Someone will bring you away soon. Qingling Shu comforted the children. Using the power of heaven and earth, she had long discovered that a group of people from the Dragon Mountain Manor had already arrived outside the mansion. She immediately left. Schwa schwa. Although she was a transcendent mage, in order to hide her identity, she dressed as an adventurer. She also used a sharp sword in battle. With a transcendent body and a high realm, she was much stronger than ordinary legend rankers in battle. She easily left the mansion's courtyard. As she walked outside the mansion, she lightly shook her head. She had lived for many years and experienced many things. Her emotions gradually calmed down. Suddenly, a terrifying and evil aura appeared in midair a few miles away from her. That's... Qingling Shu turned her head and saw the Crimson Horn Demon in the sky above the city. This demon's entire body was emitting a vast and wanton aura of magic power that was not concealed in the slightest. That invisible aura caused Qingling Shu to feel fear and pressure. She understood that the gap between them was too big. They were not even on the same level. Why did this demon release his aura? He did not conceal it at all. Qingling Shu instinctively reported to the Infernal Palace. Xia people's transcendent. The Crimson Horn Demon's body moved. With a teleportation, he appeared beside Qingling Shu. At the same time, he extended his ugly demonic hand towards Qingling Shu's head. You are the first transcendent I have killed in the Xia people's world. You should feel honored to die by my hands. I've been exposed. Qingling Shu was shocked. Third update. Chapter 194. Qingling Shu immediately activated the life-saving spell scroll she carried with her. A layer of faint ripples appeared on the surface of her body. Chi chi chi, the Crimson Horn Demon's claw swiped down, its sharp nails causing numerous spatial cracks to appear. When it clawed at the ripples on the surface of Qingling Shu's body, the ripples trembled violently and their power weakened. You're actually a transcendent mage? The Crimson Horn Demon's demonic avatar immediately swiped down a second time. At the same time, Qingling Shu activated another life-saving scroll. A ripple wrapped around her as she tried to forcefully tear through the void to escape. Trying to tear through the void in front of me? The Crimson Horn Demon smirked. His right claw, which was about to swipe down, suddenly opened up and grabbed at the void. Bang! The space within 100 meters of her was instantly shattered. The streets, pedestrians, shops, and everything else within this 100 meters, were all shattered along with the shattered space. The faint ripples on the surface of Qingling Shu's body, which was already weak, were completely shattered. Even her body could not resist this frightening shattering force, and her body was instantly shattered. Grade 3 True Meaning, Spatial Shattering. Am I dead? Qingling Shu's soul survived even though her body had died. Transcendent mages are indeed difficult to deal with. I almost let you escape. The crimson-horned demon extended his hand once more. Demonic energy surged on his claws as he grabbed at Cheng Ling Shu's soul in an attempt to imprison it. After all, this was just a demonic avatar, and it could not devour souls. I originally thought that I would experience many battles and kill quite a few demons before dying a heroic death. But I never thought that I would die before even killing a single demon. Cheng Ling Shu did not feel too much grief. Transcendents often tempered themselves between life and death. They had long since gained an understanding of death and were even prepared for it. I'm a little unwilling. But my life has been glorious enough, haha. But demon, if you want this beauty's soul, dream on. Cheng Ling Shu's translucent soul, with a smile on her face, suddenly exploded. Ah. Damn, I hate mages. The crimson-horned demon was completely enraged. The soul of a transcendent mage had actually self-destructed. Transcendent knights and mages were completely different. Transcendent knights did not have much research in the field of souls, so when they were killed, it was easy for their souls to be captured. However, mages were different. Some legend-ranked mages had already started researching on seizing bodies. Some had even been pondering over souls and fleshly bodies. As for the transcendent mages, each of them had a deep understanding of the soul. Just a little bit more. The crimson-horned demon wasn't willing to give up. Transcendent Cheng Ling Shu has been killed by a demon. A piece of news was transmitted to all the Xia people's transcendents through the infernal palace. Dongbo Shuang, who was originally riding on a horse, was stunned. He sat on the horse in a daze. The colt did not feel pressured, and after galloping for a while, it started to slow down. It even stopped and walked to the side to eat grass. Sister Ling Shu. Dongbo Shuang felt his heart ache. My name is Cheng Ling Shu. In the future, you can just call me Sister Ling Shu. Calling me Big Sister feels weird. He still remembered what Cheng Ling Shu said when they first met. Sister Ling Shu. At that time, Dongbo Shuang called out obediently. He still remembered how excited she was when she made a huge profit from the transcendent battle of life and death. Later on, she also made a huge profit from the battle with Yuan Qing. She was simply a gambling god. Before Dongbo Shuang joined the group of transcendents in Tranquil Sun Province, Cheng Ling Shu was the youngest one among them. How? Dongbo Shuang could not believe that this extremely cheerful Sister Ling Shu would actually die in the early stages of the demon war. He knew that many transcendents would die in this demon war, but he never thought that Sister Ling Shu would actually die in the early stages of the demon war. She was a sorcerer, and sorcerers had many ways to protect themselves. Usually, they would be able to escape with their lives. On horseback, Dongbo Shuang only regained his senses after a while. Brother Eternal Wind, where did Sister Ling Shu die? Dongbo Shuang asked through the communication wristband. In a small city called Feng City. Qi Qiu Bai replied. So. In an instant, Dongbo Shuang soared into the skies. His speed was raised to the limit as he rushed towards Feng City. Although the Infernal Palace had asked them to conceal their tracks, Dongbo Shuang couldn't be bothered about it anymore. If they were to be exposed, then so be it. Even a rank 4 demon wasn't a match for him. A rank 5 demon wouldn't be able to kill him in a breath's time. Furthermore, he still had the protective treasure of the Xia people on him. He could even defend against a demigod-ranked demon. Maybe it was a little presumptuous, but Dongbo Shuang really wanted to reach the place where Sister Ling Shu died as soon as possible. After flying for a short while, they had already traversed over 20,000 miles. We're here. Dongbo Shuang saw a small city below him. It was an extremely beautiful city, and there were many maple trees growing in the city. The maple trees had already become the symbol of this small city. South, descending from the sky, he directly landed in this small city, beside that huge pit. The area of a mile around the pit was completely sealed. At this moment, Qiu Qibai, Old Fogey Chao Qing and Si Kong Yang were all here. Snow Eagle, you're here. Qiu Qibai looked over. You flew over just like that? Old Fogey Chao Qing stared at him angrily. Don't you know that the demons are hiding in various places? They are also paying attention to your tracks. Yet, you flew over just like that. Even if you fly very high, the chances of them discovering you is very low. But what if they discover you? Don't tell me you want to die under the sneak attacks of the demons? Vice Abbot Dongbo Shuang hurriedly said, I have a protective treasure that can defend against demigods. Old Fogey Chao Qing was shocked. He turned to look at Si Kong Yang by his side. Si Kong Yang nodded his head in confirmation. Only then did Chao Qing stop cursing. He guessed that Dongbo Shuang had exchanged the contribution points from the Devil's Well for a certain protective treasure. Even so, we still have to be cautious. Old Fogey Chao Qing sighed, AI, it's good that this old man is the one who died. Ling Shu was still very young. Is there nothing left? Dongbo Shuang looked at the huge crater. The surrounding nothingness had shattered. The space has completely shattered. Old Fogey Chao Qing shook his head, there isn't even a corpse. It was only the communication wristband that notified the infernal palace when she died. Did you find the demon? Dongbo Shuang forcefully suppressed his anger. They had been good friends for 30 years. They had known each other in the Xia capital for 30 years. Yet, she left just like that. Even her corpse had turned into ashes. I followed the fluctuations in space and chased after her. However, I only managed to trace her to the void layer before losing track of her. Qiu Qibai shook his head. His eyes were filled with killing intent, damn it. I will definitely find that damnable fellow. I must find her. The sadness in Qiu Qibai's heart was not any less than that of Dongbo Shuang. He had watched Qing Ling Shu grow from a young genius mage to a young girl. He treated this pure and innocent female mage as his little sister. End of 4th watch. Star. Chapter 195. Dongbo Shuang, Qiu Qibai, Chao Qing, and Si Kong Yang were all looking at the pit. They could no longer find Qing Ling Shu's corpse, so they could only stand in front of the pit and silently pay their respects. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Ling Shu, have a safe journey. Qiu Qibai said softly. Sister Ling Shu, we will definitely kill all those demons. Dongbo Shuang said softly. Although his voice was soft, it was like a promise. Perhaps others were too arrogant when they said this, or perhaps it was normal for a war of this level to last for thousands of years in the history of the Xia people. However, Dongbo Shuang was very confident in himself. He had at least 2 grade 2 true meanings. The moment he stepped into the demigod realm, he would truly surpass all the demigods in the history of the Xia people. He would become the strongest demigod in the history of the Xia people, and he would be able to sweep away all those demons by himself. However, this required time. Dongbo Shuang could only endure silently like a lone wolf sharpening its claws, silently waiting for himself to grow stronger. A transcendence life, little girl, you've already lived a very exciting life. Old man Chao Qing said. In the long history of the Xia people, there were countless transcendents who sacrificed their lives for the Xia people. In the river of time, you might be very ordinary, but every single one of you is the pride of the Xia people, the heroes of the Xia people. Si Kong Yang's eyes were burning with a flame. In my eyes, you are more worthy of respect than those selfish demonic faction demigods. Si Kong Yang was a very arrogant and overbearing person. However, facing these transcendents who sacrificed their lives for the Xia people, he was also filled with respect. Dongbo Shuang and Qiu Qibai soon parted ways. After buying a snowstrider horse, Dongbo Shuang rode it and began his journey to find traces of the demons. Dongbo Shui Ying's heart ached at the death of Sister Ling Shu. He had lived for so many years, but there were not many people he treated as friends. He cherished every single one of them. However, no matter how much his heart ached, he could only suppress it. Because this was a war with the demons. It was normal for people to die. If transcendents like them hid and did not dare to fight, then millions of mortals would die. Go! Dongbo Shuang was riding on a horse, galloping on the main road. His appearance had changed greatly, he had turned into a middle-aged man with white sideburns. He carried a saber and a bag on his back. Although the transcendents of the Xia people were incomparably furious, they became even more cautious. Similarly, the transcendents of the Xia people were also discovered. Every time, a Tier 5 demon's mana doppelganger attacked. To the majority of the transcendents of the Xia people, a 5th-rank demon was in existence that could be easily crushed. Only transcendent mages with strange methods and life-saving items could escape. Transcendent knights, on the other hand, would most likely die if they were discovered. In the past year, 5 transcendents from the Xia people have died. Infernal World, Infernal Palace, Doyan Hall. The Doyan of the Xia people were in a discussion. Although they were overseeing the mortal world and hunting down all suspected demons, at this moment, they had sent their Qi doppelgangers to the Xia capital. We have tried to track them down many times, but we were never able to find them again. Palace Lord Chen's eyes were as calm as ever. Furthermore, the 5 transcendents who died recently were all ambushed. They had just reported to the Infernal Palace, and they immediately died in battle. All of them were completely suppressed and killed. When they discovered the demons, they all said that they were extremely powerful. Clearly, they did not conceal their demonic auras. According to many deductions, we can be sure that these damned demons have already sent out their most powerful Tier 5 and Tier 4 demons into a few minor transcendent worlds. Palace Lord Qin said. See Deity Palace Lord Taishu Chen gritted his teeth. Ever since the demons invaded, we have set up several alarm arrays at the entrance of these minor transcendent worlds. However, none of these arrays have been activated. Clearly, these demons have found those minor transcendent worlds in the chaotic space. It must be those damned traitors from the demonic faction. How big was the space between? Furthermore, it was extremely dangerous. Trying to find the exact location of a minor transcendent world in the vast and chaotic space between was extremely difficult. Unless one first entered the minor transcendent world, then tore through the membrane of the minor transcendent world to arrive at the space between, then confirm their exact location. However, those entrances were all equipped with alarm arrays. The demons did not pass through these arrays, yet they were able to enter the minor transcendent worlds. It was obvious that they had obtained an accurate map. Every time the demons invade, the demonic faction would always collude with them. In their eyes, even if countless humans were to be slaughtered, they would not care. Si Kong Yang was also incomparably furious. Usually causing trouble is one thing, but now they are even colluding with the demons. The enchanting and beautiful city Lord Bu's eyes flashed with a cold light. She was the first to discover the invasion of the demons and massacred a large number of them. Right now, everyone should think of a way to break it. Mountain Lord, he said, a demigod cannot enter a minor transcendent world. Sigh, how do we break it? The elders were all frowning with worry. They had many ideas, but none of them said it out loud. This was because the history of the Xia people was very long, and they had already encountered similar situations when fighting against the demons. However, this was practically unsolvable. This is also what we are most afraid of. Palace Lord Qin said, we previously placed many alarm arrays at the world entrances, but it was useless. With the help of the demonic faction, the elites of the demons were still able to enter the minor transcendent world. We have an overwhelming advantage in terms of demigods, but below that, the demons have an overwhelming advantage. The demons had an advantage in numbers. It was said that in the dark abyss, the demons were endless. For example, a large beach in the dark abyss could give birth to hundreds of millions of demons. Even if it was just a space passage that connected to a world in the dark abyss, it was still able to attract so many demons. There is no other way. If only the deity world warriors could enter. City Lord Bu frowned. Unfortunately, the laws of nature also consider the deity world warriors as demigod lifeforms. The deity world warriors were sent down by the ancestors of the Xia people. All of them were unfathomably powerful and had the strength of a peak demigod. All of them had an extremely strong true meaning. In fact, they did not have souls, and even if they did, they were incomplete. They were powerful weapons of war created by the deities. From the perspective of transcendence and deities, they should not be considered as lifeforms. But they had intelligence and could think. They could even grasp techniques and the mysteries of the world, and even grasp true meanings. Under the laws of nature, they were considered lifeforms. Like the deity world warriors, there were deity world warriors that could match the strength of a deity. The ancestors of the Xia people were willing to send such deity world warriors back, but unfortunately, the mortal world rejected them. They did not allow such powerful existences to descend. The same logic. The minor transcendent world also prohibited all demigod refiner organisms and transcendent lifeforms from entering. Otherwise, the Xia people would have easily swept away those transcendent aboriginals. To kill their way in, the only way is to let the powerful transcendent mages bring some demigod spell scrolls and similar treasures. Mountain Lord he shook his head, but based on past experience, the moment the demons enter a minor transcendent world, they will definitely establish a nest. They will arrange an array. Even a demigod would need some time to break through the array they arrange. Let a few Saint Realm transcendents enter. Their insight and realms are relatively low, so the possibility of breaking through the array is extremely low. Even the array at Snowrock Castle could trap a demigod demon for a long time. And the demons that killed their way in were the demon army. As an army, they had made preparations for all aspects. This time, they had arranged for a total of 5 elite demon squads to be stationed in 5 minor transcendent worlds. Naturally, they had arranged arrays. These arrays were even more powerful than the ones at Dongbush Shui Ying's Snowrock Castle. Illusions, entrapment, massacres, etc. In short, if it was a demigod expert with an extremely high insight and boundless strength, they could still break through the array after spending some time. After all, the energy of the array had a limit. But if it was a Saint Realm transcendent mage? Just bringing a few scrolls and the like would not be able to break through the array. The transcendents of this era are fated to be sacrificed and paid. Palace Lord Chen's eyes were filled with grief. The number of demigods dying was still extremely few, but the number of transcendents below the demigod realm would increase in the future. But if they did not fight, just relying on the few demigods of the Xia people would not be able to patrol the entire land of the Xia people. There's no other way. Mountain Lord he shook his head. Today, there was only one night watch. Tomorrow, there would be another night watch. Chapter 196. P.S. There are many types of deity warriors, and some have incomplete souls. The previous chapter has been edited. In the Elder Hall, the elders of the Xia clan knew that the occupation of the minor transcendent worlds by those rank 5 and 4 demons was practically unstoppable. But they could not give up. Because according to history, if these demons were allowed to occupy the minor transcendent worlds, they would wantonly use their demonic avatars to attack the transcendents of Xia people again and again. When that time came, the casualties of the transcendents of Xia people would be very tragic. If they were to fight against ordinary demons, the transcendents of Xia people would have a chance to survive. But against the demonic avatars of the 5th rank demons, the chances were too low. This is their strongest killing move. City Lady Boo's eyes were filled with unwillingness. I hope everyone can think of a way to reduce the casualties of our transcendents. Emin, we will naturally do our best. Perhaps the arrays of the demon's lair in the minor transcendent worlds would be weaker? We still have to try. The demigod transcendent mages also racked their brains and suggested some plans, which were then refuted by the other demigods. In the process of proposing and refuting, many plans were eliminated, and some were improved. After 3 days of discussion, the Elder Hall finally decided on 5 plans. A total of 6 human transcendents ranked at the top of the saint rankings would use their chi avatars, magic avatars, to kill their way into the minor transcendent worlds with treasures. These 6 experts would form a team, with 3 of them being transcendent mages. The treasures they would bring were mainly used to break the arrays. After all, to kill their way in, they would first have to break the arrays. If they couldn't, they would definitely lose. Half a month later, everything was ready. Mountain Lord He and City Lady Boo personally led the 6 saint-ranked transcendents. At the peak of a mountain, the wind was biting cold. Mountain Lord He and the others were currently gathered at the peak. The 6 of you. City Lady Boo looked at the chi avatars, magic avatars, of the 6 saint-ranked transcendents. You should be clear of the importance of this operation. Once you enter the minor transcendent worlds, you can only rely on yourselves. You have to be cautious and try your best to break the arrays. Once you do, you can use demigod-ranked scrolls to smash them to death. In terms of foundation, these demon armies could not be compared to the Xia people. In the dark abyss, the demon gods were very stingy. It was almost impossible for a demigod demon to obtain a divine weapon. As for the Xia people, with the help of generations of Xia people's ancestors, as well as some powerful scrolls and treasures that were refined by some experts who had become gods before they went to the god realm. After accumulating it from generation to generation, it was very terrifying. Of course, because they would encounter all kinds of dangers over the long years, Xia people had to use them sparingly. When it comes to demigods, we wield divine weapons. Xia people have an overwhelming advantage over the demigods. City Lady Boo's voice was filled with killing intent. Furthermore, the deity realm soldiers have yet to make a move. The demon generals were unable to hide in the minor extraordinary worlds. Therefore, these demigod demons were of no concern at all. They could only hide in their shells. If they dare to show up, we will beat them to death. But there are too many evil demons below the demigod rank. City Lady Boo gritted her teeth and said, they have the absolute advantage. Now that their elite rank 5 and rank 4 evil demons are hiding in the minor extraordinary worlds, their true bodies are no longer a threat. They can send their demonic avatars to carry out sneak attacks. If this goes on, looking at the history of the demon wars, even if the transcendents of this era are very careful and have many tricks up their sleeves, by the time the war ends, more than 80% of them will have died. City Lady Boo said, I really don't want to see that scene. We demigods hate ourselves for being so powerless. If you fail, then we will no longer have any hope. This is the biggest crisis of Xia people's transcendence, the biggest calamity. City Lady Boo looked at them. As long as we can resolve this crisis, the losses caused by the demon wars will be greatly reduced. If they did not have a minor extraordinary world as their base. If a rank 5 evil demon's demonic avatar dared to launch a sneak attack, the demigods of Xia people would have hope of finding their true bodies by following the spatial fluctuations. Xia people's transcendents could use the power of heaven and earth to investigate their surroundings. If they were hiding in a mortal world, perhaps their demonic avatar would be discovered as soon as it was about to move, and even their base would be discovered. Understood. City Lady Boo, we will do our best. We will definitely do our best to break the array. The 6 transcendents all agreed. They were chosen because they had their own set of methods to decipher formations. In fact, they were not inferior to demigods in certain aspects of deciphering formations. Unfortunately, a demigod had a huge advantage, and that was their inexhaustible power. Demigods could forcefully attack again and again, thousands or even tens of thousands of times. In the end, the array's power would be exhausted. But what about them? They were weak, so they could only rely on treasures. A single demigod rank magic scroll was only equivalent to a single attack from a demigod. Even if there were 100 magic scrolls, it would only be equivalent to 100 attacks. How could it compare to the endless attacks of a true demigod? That was why they wanted to forcefully break the array. Xia people could not afford to play such a game no matter how rich their foundation was. The materials used for each of these treasures were not cheap. It's up to you all. Mountain Lord He and City Lady Boo led them into the void and brought them to the membrane of a minor transcendent world. They then tore through the membrane and sent them in. After the 6 transcendent chi avatars and magic avatars entered, they borrowed the power of heaven and earth to investigate. There were many minor transcendent worlds, and they tried to find them one by one. After spending more than 2 hours, they had searched through over 30 minor transcendent worlds and finally found the first world where the demons were stationed. Xia people's transcendents have arrived. Ha, come, let's see what these transcendents of the Xia people can do. A towering palace was heavily guarded. Many arrays had already been set up. These were all arrays frequently used by the Demon Legion in battle. They were extremely effective. These rank 5 and rank 4 demons were very relaxed as they watched the battle. They watched as the transcendents of the Xia people unraveled the array. In the void outside the membrane of the minor transcendent world, Mountain Lord He and City Lady Boo were anxiously waiting. Even though they had cultivated their spirit to their level, they were still anxious and nervous at this moment. This was because the transcendents of the Xia people were the most knowledgeable when it came to arrays among the Saint Realm transcendents. The treasures used this time were also the most suitable. If these 6 transcendents could not even unravel a single array, then there was really no other way. Of course, Mountain Lord He and City Lady Boo did not know that Dongbush Shuang had grasped hold of an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. This matter was highly confidential. The 6 transcendents were unraveling the array. Their true bodies were also communicating with the demigods of the Xia people through their communication wristbands, and the demigods of the Xia people were also giving them suggestions. It was a pity that they could not see it with their own eyes. After all, there were many profound undulations of the array. It was not something that could be clearly described with a simple picture or description. After more than 2 hours, they have entered the array and are unable to advance. They can't escape either. Their chi avatars and magic avatars can no longer support them, so they have chosen to use all the treasures they brought. A message was transmitted. Boom, it was accompanied by a huge explosion. Mountain Lord He and City Lady Boo stood in the chaotic void between space. They could see a distant space membrane directly exploding and tearing apart. The minor transcendent world within was also surging with energy. A large amount of treasures were clearly used up in one go. And that torn space membrane was rapidly mending back together. They didn't even manage to break the outermost array. Mountain Lord He sighed. We were too optimistic. Damn. City Lady Boo gritted her teeth. Her eyes were filled with fury. They were hoping that this was a mixed army of demons and that their array was weaker. But in reality, this was an extremely complete army of demons. There were no major flaws in any aspect. In terms of arrays, they were equally formidable. Xia people had asked the 6 Saint Realm Transcendents to prepare a method, yet they were unable to even break the outermost array. This fact completely shattered the last strand of hope of the Xia people's demigods. First update. Chapter 197. Snow Eagle Territory. On one of the peaks of Snow Rock Mountain, Dongbush Shuang and Jing Qiu were taking a stroll together. Jing Qiu, you can go back first. Call me when it's time for dinner. Dongbush Shuang laughed. Jing Qiu laughed as she turned and left. Seeing Jing Qiu's departing figure, Dongbo Shuang felt an invisible pressure lashing at his heart. He was enjoying his current life, but he had to protect it. He had to protect it from being destroyed. The demons are getting more and more arrogant. I have to quickly raise my strength and grasp the complete true meaning. Dongbo Shuang thought to himself. He stopped thinking about it and sat cross-legged on the ice-cold mountain peak. The pressure in his heart was tossed to the back of his mind, and all his thoughts were focused on the profound mysteries of earth, fire, water, and wind. He had to first raise his profound mysteries before fusing them together. Be it the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing or the embryonic form of the true meaning of star, they were the result of fusing the profound mysteries of earth, fire, water, and wind. Illusions. Dongbo Shuang thought to himself. One could see 6 Shuang sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak soundlessly appearing at the same time. The 6 black-robed Dongbo Shuang were all in deep thought. Back then, I relied on the profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind to grasp the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions. Dongbo Shuang thought to himself, and when I fused the profound mysteries of earth, fire, water, and wind, it actually didn't destroy the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions. Instead, it became stronger. And it seems like the profound mysteries of earth is of great help to the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions. As he continued to ponder, he realized that in the illusions, because of the profound mysteries of earth, his own illusions seemed to have a soul. There was a sort of stability, and it wasn't as pure as before. Therefore, as Dongbo Shuaying's understanding of the profound mysteries of earth increased, he also constantly adjusted the fusion method of the 4 profound mysteries of the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions. At the start, water, fire, and wind were the main 3 elements. The profound mysteries of the earth were slowly and carefully integrated into it, for fear of destroying the embryonic form of this true meaning. Even though he already had the embryonic forms of extreme piercing and star, he still attached great importance to Dongbo Shuaying's illusion true meaning. After all, the moment he grasped hold of the complete grade 3 true meaning of illusions, the threat he posed to his enemies would greatly increase. However, as time passed, Dongbo Shuang realized that the earth profundity was no longer just a support to the true meaning of illusions. Instead, it was an extremely important part of it. Its importance had even surpassed water, fire, and wind, becoming the most important. Dongbo Shuang had been adjusting the fusion method of the earth, fire, water, and wind elements, striving to perfect the true meaning of illusions. This is, the 6 Dongbo Shuaying's faces were suddenly filled with shock. The 6 of them looked in all directions. They could see the mountain peak that they were originally sitting cross-legged trembling. Countless mountain rocks were sent flying towards the mountain peak, causing the mountain peak to rapidly increase in size. The entire mountain peak was rapidly expanding, Amen. The 6 Dongbo Shuayings raised their heads and looked towards the sky. It was originally afternoon, but at this moment, dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky. Countless dark clouds rolled over and covered the entire sky, causing the entire world to become pitch black. Selah, the countless dark clouds were suddenly torn apart. A huge hand pierced through the dark clouds, appearing in front of Dongbo Shuaying. The 6 Dongbo Shuayings stood up at the same time. Retreat, Dongbo Shuaying said. All the dark clouds had completely retreated. That huge hand came down from the void, stopping right in front of Dongbo Shuaying. Sunset, moonrise, Dongbo Shuaying said again. The sun in the sky was rapidly descending towards the west, and the moon was gradually rising. The ocean. Dongbo Shuaying smiled. All of a sudden, countless waves surged over from afar, drowning the entire mountain range. The entire eastern side of Snow Rock Mountain had turned into a boundless ocean. The waves were rolling, and some foam could be seen. The seawater gradually calmed down. Fishing boats could be seen on the surface of the ocean. Some seabirds could even be seen flying in the sky. A huge fish could be seen leaping out of the ocean. How mysterious, Dongbo Shuang muttered to himself. Shua, the huge hand, the boundless ocean, the huge mountains, the seabirds, the fishing boats, the dark night, the moon, everything disappeared. Everything returned to its original state. It was still afternoon. Snowrock Mountain was still the same as before. The people in the distant Snowrock Castle were still living their lives, not noticing the previous commotion. Mirage? Dongbo Shuaying's heart was incomparably excited. The four elements of earth, water, fire, and wind can actually form the embryonic form of the mirage. Dongbo Shuaying was incomparably shocked. The true meaning of mirage was a grade 2 true meaning. Furthermore, it was ranked at the bottom of all grade 2 true meanings in terms of pure offensive power. Those who grasped hold of this grade 2 true meaning could barely reach the threshold of a demigod in terms of offensive power. One had to know that a saint who grasped hold of a grade 3 true meaning would be able to display the combat power of a demigod, and their offensive power would be slightly stronger than the true meaning of mirage. But it was a grade 2 true meaning. The higher the level of a true meaning, the harder it was to improve. As a legendary true meaning, its offensive power was weaker than a grade 3 true meaning. But to many experts, they would rather meet someone who grasped hold of other grade 2 true meanings than an enemy who grasped hold of the true meaning of mirage. What was the mirage? The contrast between reality and illusion. The world of normal living, this was the real world. And on the other side of the real world, there was a corresponding illusory world. In other words, the mirage. The mirage was a world of its own. It could be said to be the source of all illusory techniques. No illusory technique could surpass the mirage of mirage. Once this true meaning was mastered, it would be able to control the illusory world. Within the illusory world, everything could be done as one wished. Other than that, there were many other strange and powerful aspects to it. Right now, I have only grasped hold of the embryonic form of the true meaning of mirage. Dongbo Shuang was shocked. And yet, it is already so unfathomable. At the embryonic form stage, he could create unfathomable illusory techniques. Changing the world was an easy task for him. Stealthily, he could cause the enemy to fall into an illusory technique without them knowing. Then, he could take their lives. Dongbo Shuang muttered, I've heard that experts who have grasped hold of the true meaning of mirage can hide within the mirage, and their enemies would not be able to find their true bodies. That's right. Experts who had grasped hold of the true meaning of mirage had very weak offensive capabilities. But it was extremely difficult to find their true bodies. Back then, the grade 2 true meanings left behind by the deity world had very vague records regarding the true meaning of mirage. It was only because the ancestors of the Xia people had passed down many secret messages. One of them was related to the true meaning of mirage. An expert who had grasped hold of the true meaning of mirage would not need to use his true body to kill within the mirage. Thus, he would not need to use his true body to kill. How difficult would it be to find his true body? Even if he were to hide within the mirage, his enemies would not be able to find him. Because his enemies were in the real world, without any methods to attack the mirage, they would not be able to harm those who walked within the mirage. I originally wanted to perfect the true meaning of mirage, but who would have thought that after fusing with the profound mystery of earth, and even using the profound mystery of earth as the main one. Not only did I not destroy it, I even allowed it to improve, allowing me to grasp the embryonic form of the true meaning of mirage. Dongbo Shuang was shocked. Fusing them was an extremely difficult task. Just the fusion of the profound mysteries of water and fire was enough to trap many people. 3 was even more heaven-defying, let alone 4. Even the profound mystery of earth could be divided into many aspects. Just the path of the earth was sufficient for one to cultivate to become a deity. Dongbo Shuang had chosen the aspect of the earth's ability to bear and contain. This was precisely what his spear techniques required. He had chosen the 4 different aspects of the profound mysteries of earth, fire, water, and wind. As the saying went, a flower planted intentionally will not bloom, but a willow planted unintentionally will grow into shade. However, when cultivators pursued the so-called powerful true meaning of a flower planted intentionally, if the flower bloomed, that would be a real joke. As for a willow planted unintentionally, was it really unintentional? Having grasped hold of 3 embryonic forms of grade 2 true meanings, Dongbu Shuang understood that if he were to be exposed, the demonic faction, demons, and others would not hesitate to pay any price to eliminate him. After all, he was only a single step away from grasping the complete true meaning. Currently, he was at his weakest. After grasping hold of the embryonic form of the true meaning of mirage, Dongbu Shuang had the confidence of surviving a battle against a rank 5 demon. But against a demigod, he was still much weaker. Thus, he had to endure. As for the embryonic forms of the true meaning of star and true meaning of mirage, Dongbu Shuang did not tell anyone else. He had to minimize the possibility of this secret being leaked. The second chapter. Chapter 198. Night fell, Water Rights Town. On the second floor of a quiet and elegant restaurant, Dongbu Shuang and Jing Qiu sat there eating dinner together. There were no fire crystal lamps on the second floor, but instead, there were lanterns. Under the hazy illumination of the lanterns, some lanterns were red, some were purple, and some were blue. The entire second floor of the restaurant was like a dream. There were many pairs of men and women walking around. Dongbu Shuang and Jing Qiu's appearance had slightly changed. As long as the lines of their faces were slightly adjusted, their faces would be unrecognizable to strangers. Usually, when the two of them were in Snowrock Castle, they would occasionally come to Water Rights Town for a stroll. It's so lively. Jing Qiu propped her chin on her hand as she looked at the streets below. There were many people walking on the streets. Along the streets, there were all kinds of sounds of shops and restaurants trying to attract customers. There were also some luxurious carriages with mighty cavalry guards. With a glance, one could tell that these carriages belonged to wealthy nobles. Although many nobles and wealthy merchants were rushing to the provincial capital, every inch of land in the provincial capital was extremely expensive. However, every inch of land in the provincial capital was worth its weight in gold. Even the great nobles could only afford a small courtyard to accommodate their direct descendants. There were still many members of the family who lived in their own territories. Moreover, a large number of people had to stay in their original places to take care of businesses and so on. Therefore, many small cities were still very lively. To the transcendents, there were many demons. However, to the entire world of the Xia people, there were very few demons. Under the pursuit of the transcendence of the Xia people, the demons could only hide here and there. Only the demonic avatars of a rank 5 demon would come out time and time again. The lives of the mortals were still relatively peaceful. Of course it's lively. Although Water Rights Town is a small city, it still has a population of 1 million. Dongbu Shuang laughed. Look over there, there are many people on the boats on the river at the end of the bridge. Jing Qiu said, there are quite a lot of wealthy nobles in Water Rights Town. It's good to be able to live a befuddled life. Dongbu Shuang smiled as he looked at everything. The lives of the mortals were very peaceful. The wealthy nobles continued to live a befuddled life while the ordinary commoners worked hard to earn money. There were also many who cultivated hard, and there were also adventurers who wandered outside. This was the life of the Xia people. This was what Dongbu Shuang and the other transcendents had to protect. If they fell, countless mortals would be bred in captivity by the demons, and their souls would be devoured in large batches. That would be the nightmarish days of the Walking Dead. Suddenly, Dongbu Shuang and Dongbu Shuang received news from the Infernal Palace on their communication wristbands at the same time. He actually failed. Jing Qiu's expression suddenly changed. It still failed. As expected, there are no miracles. Dongbu Shuang shook his head. This is going to be troublesome. The Infernal Palace had just released a piece of news: the elites of the evil demons had invaded the small transcendent world. The Xia people had tried to attack but failed. All transcendents had to be careful. Previously, when the transcendents of the Xia people started dying one after another, everyone had already guessed that this was the worst-case scenario. After all, they had history to refer to. In the history of the demon invasion, the invasion of the small transcendent world had always been a headache for the Xia people, and they had never been able to solve it. A small transcendent world can only be entered by Saint Realm transcendents. Jing Qiu shook her head. Historically, the demons have always sent out their elites. Furthermore, they have always been setting up arrays. The possibility of breaking through them is extremely low. That's right, elites. Dongbu Shuang nodded. Below the demigod realm, the demons have too much of an advantage. According to the demon intelligence, as of now, they had found a total of 29 rank 5 demons. The weakest was at the level of the top 10 on the Saint rankings, and there were at least 3 who were stronger than the number 1 on the Saint rankings. The main reason was that the intelligence was not accurate enough, and they could only obtain some rough information. This information was mainly obtained from capturing some demons and interrogating them, as well as searching their souls. The first rank 5 demon was a demon called Ji Er Luo. According to the intelligence, he had grasped hold of 2 grade 3 true meanings. Among them, there was 1 grade 3 true meaning which could be confirmed to have reached the stage 2 realm. Grasping a complete true meaning would continue to improve. Along with reaching a higher realm, one would be able to condense a true deity heart. This Ji Er Luo was the strongest known rank 5 demon. At least in the hearts of those captured demons, he was the strongest. His combat power was even greater than Qiu Qi Bai's when he was at the Saint Realm. Other than Ji Er Luo, the others like Bai Ye and Wu Lang had grasped hold of grade 3 true meanings. That Wu Lang had grasped hold of the true meaning of space shatter, and he was a subordinate of General Yen Zhe. Thus, Dongbu Shuang, Qiu Qi Bai, and the others suspected that the one who killed Qingling Shu was this Wu Lang. Demons are different from us, Jing Qiu said. It's said that there are billions of them, and from the moment they are born, they would have to fight and kill each other. They gradually grow through battle, and the weaker demons would have long been killed or stepped on. Rank 3, 4, and 5 demons would generally have reached the peak of the Saint Realm in terms of their magical energy. Just like human transcendence, their chi would reach the peak of the Saint Realm. But combat power did not represent the same. Based on their combat power, demons could be divided into ranks 3, 4, and 5. Those who could step into the 5th rank were the elites who stood at the very top of the countless demons. The failure of his attack, coupled with the strength of the demons, made Dongbu Shuang anxious. Before he grasped hold of a complete true meaning, he could only watch on helplessly. His heart ached, but he could only endure. Snow Eagle. Suddenly, he received a message through his communication wristband. Palace Lord Chen, Dongbu Shuang replied. You should know the news, but you should understand, the more it is during this time, the more you have to endure. Palace Lord Chen transmitted, their invasion of the minor transcendent worlds is the biggest headache for us Xia people. It is almost unbreakable. But our generation is different. Because of you, you have grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. Furthermore, it is an extremely strong offensive embryonic form. The moment you grasp hold of a complete true meaning, with the offensive power of this true meaning, even though there is still a gap between you and the top 10 demigods, you will not lose out to Gong Yu and the rest. Palace Lord Chen transmitted, when that time comes, you can attack directly without entering the boundaries of the arrays. Your strength is endless, and you can attack continuously from the front, using brute force to break through the arrays. Once the arrays are exhausted, you will be able to break through the arrays. I understand, Dongbu Shuang replied. A grade 2 true meaning was indeed very powerful. But he was still too weak in terms of qi. For example, after Qiu Qibai became a demigod, his combat power had greatly increased. Now that he had a deity weapon, his combat power had greatly increased. Thus, qi and weapons were both extremely important. Just by relying on a grade 2 true meaning, he was only slightly stronger than Gong Yu and the rest. He could even match some of the more experienced demigods. The news of you grasping hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning is still being kept a secret. You are our greatest trump card. I originally thought that even if you grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, we would still keep it a secret. But there's no other way. They have now occupied 5 minor transcendent worlds. This is like 5 blades stabbing into the chests of our Xia people. We need you to go and pull them out. Only you can uproot them. Dongbo Shuang gave a simple reply. Yes. Since his combat power was sufficient, he would naturally have to pull them out. The reason why I contacted you this time is because I need you to endure it. I'm just afraid that you will do something foolish at the most crucial moment, Palace Lord Chen instructed. He had only done so because he was too worried. Don't worry. I know what's important, Dongbo Shuang replied. You grasped hold of the embryonic form of a true meaning back at the Scarlet Cloud Mountain. I estimate that you should be able to grasp the complete true meaning in around 10 years or so. 10 years is nothing to the demon war that will last for 1,000 years. We can afford to wait. We can also afford to lose the transcendence of the Xia people in 10 years, Palace Lord Chen instructed. Day after day, month after month, year after year. The war between the transcendence of the Xia people and the demons continued. The Xia people had an intelligence network that spanned across the land to investigate the situation. As time passed, the demons found it hard to hold back. There were countless humans right in front of their eyes. Just looking at them made them drool. How could they endure it for too long? Hence, they, especially the lower tier 1 and 2 demons, began to secretly make their moves. With the aid of the intelligence network and the patrolling transcendence, the Xia people began to discover the demons one by one. The demigods were also dispatched everywhere, capturing the demons alive time and time again. As for the human transcendence, they would occasionally be spotted by the demons. Immediately, the demonic avatars of the 5th level demons would attack them, causing the human transcendence to lose their lives. Although according to the ratio of casualties, the number of demons that were captured alive was higher. Ultimately, the number of human transcendence was too small. Every loss made the Xia people's heart ache. Chapter 199. Dragon Mountain Calendar Year 9680, Summer. Beside a quiet lake, under a thick willow, a white-robed youth was sitting cross-legged, fishing leisurely. This youth was Dongbo Shuang, who had changed his appearance to search for traces of demons. Naturally, he had been borrowing the power of heaven and earth to observe the surrounding 100 li. Within this 100 li, there were many villages and even bandits. Thousands of willow branches fluttered in the wind, occasionally creating ripples on the surface of the lake. Suddenly, the fishing line vibrated, and the surface of the water rippled. Oh! Dongbo Shuang immediately picked up the fishing rod and swung it. A big fish immediately flew out of the water and flew towards the shore. Jing Qiu, I caught another fish. It's a big fish, at least 1.5 kilograms. Dongbo Shuang chatted with Jing Qiu through his communication wristband. Senior Snow Eagle, your luck is pretty good today. You already caught 5 to 6 fish. I'm currently shopping for clothes in a clothing shop. This shop is just an ordinary shop. The clothes were personally designed by the shop owner. This shop owner is a very ordinary mage, but the clothes he designed are pretty good. Jing Qiu also chatted. Searching for traces of demons was very boring. They had to find some entertainment for themselves. Right, Senior Snow Eagle, aren't you going to Eternal Wind Academy to take a look at Qingshi? Qing Shi has already broken through to legend rank. As his older brother, you should go and congratulate him. Breaking through to legend rank is considered a big matter. Dongbo Shuang said. Although he said that, in his heart, Dongbo Shuang was very happy. He had watched his younger brother grow up. Because the two of them depended on each other for survival, his feelings for his younger brother were very deep. I can't flatter this kid too much. Now that he has broken through to legend rank, he should be proud of himself. If I were to rush over to congratulate him, this kid wouldn't know who he is. Dongbo Shuang said. I have to cool him down a bit and make him sober up. Don't get too arrogant. Don't look down on your younger brother. To be able to step into legend rank, he must have tempered his spirit to a very high level. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to achieve one with the world. Jing Qiu said. The two of them chatted for a while before stopping. As Dongbo Shuang fished, his mind started to focus on comprehending the profound mysteries of his spear technique. All these years, his battle energy had long since reached the peak of the saint level, and his body had also reached the early stage of the saint level. In reality, however, all of this was quite easy. All it took was time to absorb the energy within the origin stone. Regardless of whether it was the countless mortals or the transcendence of the Xia people, everything was proceeding according to the normal path. Of course, there were often casualties. Every time those devils wantonly slaughtered, a large number of mortals would die. Although it was insignificant compared to the entire world of the Xia people, Dongbo Shuang and the rest were able to track down the demons. Most of the time, by the time they arrived, the demons had already escaped. They had seen too many tragedies. Boom! Dongbo Shuang, who was fishing under the weeping willow, was pondering over his spear technique. Many thoughts in his mind pointed to the same destination. Everything suddenly became clear. This feeling is really great. Dongbo Shuang looked at his surroundings. The world seemed to be the same as before. The surface of the lake was still the same. In the distance, there were forests and even some wild beasts and birds. Everything seemed to be the same as before. However, it was different. The scenery didn't change. The world didn't change. However, he had changed. Therefore, he was able to see the more realistic side of the world. He was able to see the most fundamental laws of profound mysteries behind everything in the world. Although he had only seen through a small part of it, this part was very close to the true essence of the world. This caused Dongbo Shuang to feel like he was the ruler of this world. It was just like how ordinary people would feel that a skill was too complicated if they didn't understand it at all. But once they truly understood it, they would be able to easily understand the essence within. It was the same logic. When Dongbo Shuang truly grasped a true meaning, it was as though he had a sharp blade in his hands. A sharp blade that could move the laws of heaven and earth. The closer this sharp blade was to the true essence, the more damage it could cause to the laws of heaven and earth. This sharp blade that Dongbo Shuang had grasped while he was fishing was clearly very terrifying. The world around me, anywhere within 50 li of me, is within my attack range. Dongbo Shuang was somewhat intoxicated by this feeling. Let's give it a try. Dongbo Shuang waved his hand, and a fallen leaf on the ground flew into Dongbo Shuang's hands. He grabbed it with his index and middle fingers, and flung it out. Xiao! The leaf itself didn't contain any qi, but there was a layer of solidified energy on the surface of it. This energy was mysterious and unfathomable. It was the materialization of the laws of profound mysteries. To be able to reach the stage of materialization, this was true meaning. The combination of laws of profound mysteries. This leaf instantly passed through the obstruction of space, and all energy would be forcefully penetrated by it. Following that, 100 li away. At the peak of a tall mountain, a leaf appeared out of thin air. It directly shot towards a huge rock that was over 10 zhang tall. The moment it touched the huge rock, the layer of true meaning wrapped around the leaf immediately invaded the huge rock. Soundlessly, the part of the rock that came into contact with the true meaning started to be pierced through. This wasn't a piercing caused by physical force, but a piercing caused by the laws of profound mysteries. It wasn't at the molecular or atomic level, but at the deeper level of the particles. In other words, the most basic particles that made up the rock were all broken down. The deepest level of destruction. Disperse. Dongbo Shuang immediately commanded with his will. The true meaning wrapped around the leaf immediately dispersed. The leaf had already pierced through the huge rock, and floated in mid-air before slowly descending. As for that huge rock, there was a finger-sized hole on it. However, there wasn't even any rock dust around it. If I didn't disperse the true meaning ripples, I'm afraid that this leaf would be able to pierce through more than 1,000 li, Dongbo Shuang thought to himself. Unknowingly, I've already reached the stage where the expert with the battle scars in the cave abode at the bottom of the Black Wind Abyss was at. That expert had destroyed the walls of the cave abode with a single strike, and even tore through the ground for more than 100 li. As for Dongbo Shuang, his attack was even more concentrated. While there might be a difference in power between the two, they were at least at the same level. The power of a demigod? Dongbo Shuang exclaimed in shock. Putting aside how terrifying the laws of profound mysteries attacks of true meanings were, true meanings themselves were also filled with power. Right now, the power of the complete true meaning of extreme piercing. If Dongbo Shuang were to stand in mid-air and punch out with his fist, the power would be so great that it could turn an entire city within 100 li into ruins. It could even turn an entire mountain into dust. Laws of profound mysteries itself had the power to move the heavens and earth. Of course, this was the most stupid kind of power. Strength coupled with laws of profound mysteries was truly terrifying. How much power would a Hercules punch out with his fists? If it was equipped with a sharp blade, the frightening strength would be able to match the sharp blade and stab out. Only then would the power skyrocket. Pure power would be equivalent to strength. The laws of profound mysteries contained within true meanings would be equivalent to sharp blades. This was also why everyone was pursuing a higher level of true meaning. Palace Lord Chen. Dongbo Shuang was still sitting there, with a fishing rod beside him. Snow Eagle. Palace Lord Chen was currently in his study room in the infernal palace of the Xia capital. His study room was filled with a large number of scrolls. Although he had always been overseeing the infernal palace, he was actually in charge of dispatching and arranging all the transcendence of the Xia people. Even the Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence network that covered the entire world had Palace Lord Chen as its highest leader. To be able to assume such a position, he had long given his soul to the Xia people. There was no need to doubt his loyalty. At this moment, Dongbo Ying's message caused Palace Lord Chen's heart to tremble. This was because Dongbo Shuang rarely took the initiative to contact Palace Lord Chen. Furthermore, after calculating the time, it seemed like it was about time. Palace Lord Chen, I have already grasped the complete true meaning. Dongbo Shuang transmitted. Chapter 200. Who? Palace Lord Chen abruptly stood up in front of his desk. He was so excited that he could no longer suppress his aura, causing the atmosphere in the study to rumble. You've grasped it? Palace Lord Chen was incomparably excited. He had never been this excited before, even after becoming a transcendent. The complete true meaning of piercing? Ha ha ha. In the entire history of my Xia clan, there has only been one transcendent who has grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. Who would have thought that in this era where the demons have descended, my Xia clan would give birth to another transcendent who grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning? Ha ha ha, the heavens are helping our Xia people, the heavens are helping our Xia people. It took a few more years than expected, Dongbo Shuang transmitted. Every year, there would be transcendence from the Xia people dying. He was anxious, but there was no use in being anxious. With his mental state at Dongbu Shui Ying's level, even if he was anxious, he could throw it to the back of his mind. Instead, he could leisurely fish. This was because he knew that being anxious would not be of any help and would instead interfere with his cultivation. Only when his mental state was absolutely calm and immersed in his spear techniques would he improve faster. So what if it took a few more years? It's a grade 2 true meaning. Even though you comprehended the embryonic form previously, it was almost certain that you would be able to comprehend the complete true meaning. But as long as you haven't comprehended it, I can't be at ease. I'm afraid that something unexpected might happen. Now that you've broken through, I can finally heave a sigh of relief, Palace Lord Qin said. Our Xia people's transcendence below the demigod level can be saved. As long as they removed the demon nests in the 5 minor transcendent worlds, even though the demon generals were still hiding in the mortal world, the threat to the Xia people would be greatly reduced. After all, the demonic avatars of rank 5 demons that could attack unscrupulously were extremely troublesome. Even if they were occasionally killed, after resting for 2 to 3 years, the rank 5 demons would be able to completely recover from the damage to their souls and fight again. Right, how's the power of your true meaning of piercing? Palace Lord Qin transmitted. Are you confident in breaking through the arrays of the demon nests? It contains an extreme true meaning of attack. How could its power be weak? Shuang said. Its power is comparable to a veteran demigod. Regarding the strength of a demigod, it was already described in the dossier. As long as one compared it, one would be able to determine the approximate level of one's strength. Very good. Very good. This kind of strength was enough to crush the array head-on. By the way, do you have the confidence to survive an attack from a demon? Those rank 5 demons are not to be trifled with. Among the rank 5 demons that we've investigated so far, the strongest one, Ji-Er Luo, is even stronger than Eternal Wind when he was a saint. Palace Lord Qin said worriedly. There are still other rank 5 demons with other true meanings. Don't worry. Palace Lord, you should know that my piercing true intent allows me to attack from a distance. I don't even need to get close to them. Dongbu Shuang transmitted. Furthermore, I can also forcefully pass through space and other obstacles. If I want to escape, they won't be able to stop me. At the embryonic form of the true meaning. During battles, Dongbu Shui Ying's body was already able to forcefully penetrate through space. Now that he had grasped the complete true meaning, it was even more heaven-defying. Even if the space was completely sealed, he could also forcefully penetrate it. This was because this wasn't a space-related true meaning at all. Instead, it was extreme piercing. In theory, once he reached the limit, he could penetrate through space and time. That's good. Palace Lord Qin let out a sigh of relief. I was still too nervous. This battle. It involved the life and death of more than half of the transcendence of the Xia people. It also involved the life and death of Dongbu Shuang, an absolute transcendent who grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. He could not help but be nervous. No worries. I have confidence. Dongbu Shuang was very confident. Right, when are you preparing to attack the demon's nest in the small-scale worlds? Palace Lord Qin asked. Give me another half a year. Dongbu Shuang said, I need half a year to prepare. Good. The demons have descended for close to 20 years. Do you still need another half a year? Palace Lord Qin said. Furthermore, you have just grasped hold of a complete true meaning. You need to familiarize yourself with it and consolidate your comprehension. Since that's the case, you should prepare well. Once you're done, inform me. I will help you arrange for demigods. Faction Head Si Kong, Eternal Wind, and Mountain Lord he will help you. Alright. Dongbu Shuang nodded. Both sides stopped communicating. Dongbu Shuang took a deep breath. He looked at the mirror-like surface of the lake in front of him. Half a year should be enough. The reason he requested for half a year was to consolidate his comprehension. The main reason was to grasp hold of the other grade 2 true meanings. Extreme piercing was the first true meaning he had cultivated and grasped hold of. The true meaning of star was cultivated smoothly as well. It would take him 3 to 5 days to 1 or 2 months to fully grasp hold of it. Only the true meaning of mirage, which Dongbo Shuang had no confidence in grasping hold of. If it was short, it would take a few months to a few years. One must know, every year, there would be transcendence of the Xia people dying. Ever since the demons invaded, 20% of the Xia people transcendence had died. Clearly, in the early stages of the war, the transcendence of the Xia people were lacking in experience. Those who were slightly careless were more likely to fall for the demons' tricks. As time passed, the survivors would become more and more cautious. Only then would the number of deaths gradually decrease. But after 1,000 years, more than 80% of the transcendence of the Xia people would die. In half a year, I will definitely grasp hold of the true meaning of star. Dongbo Shuang thought. With the true meaning of star and the true meaning of extreme piercing, I am 100% confident in grasping hold of the true meaning of mirage. Whether I can grasp hold of the true meaning of mirage will depend on my luck. Even if I have to wait a few more years, it won't matter. The transcendence of the Xia people will not allow me to cultivate for a few more years. Dongbo Shuang, who was sitting by the lake and fishing, suddenly had a change in expression. Shua. His body pierced through space, arriving at a desolate mountain village about 25 kilometers away. Haha, this is great. I've never felt so good in the abyss. Wah, the souls of humans in the material world are truly delicious. Wah, only demonic gods in the abyss are qualified to enjoy them. Ha, the world of the Xia people is so big, but the number of transcendents is so small. The chances of me being discovered while hunting is too low. As soon as I start hunting, I immediately escape. TSK, this is so cool. An ugly, skinny man appeared. His palms had transformed into thick, sharp claws of a demon. His body was also emitting a surging demonic aura. From this demonic aura, he was just a weak rank 1 or 2 demon. Pooh! Dongbo Shuaying's palm was the first to pierce through the void. His palm directly slapped down. Currently, his entire body was protected by a layer of true meaning. Even when facing a demon, he had to be vigilant. Who knew if there were stronger demons hiding in the dark? His palm, which was covered with the true meaning of extreme piercing, slapped down on the head of the weak demon. Pooh! Soundlessly, the body of the weak demon completely disintegrated. The might of the true meaning instantly caused the weak demon to disintegrate into the most basic particles. It completely dissipated, to the point where it could no longer be seen by the naked eye. Some of the weapons and other items on the demon's body were completely disintegrated under the might of the true meaning. Only some tough materials were left. Peng! The storage treasure carried by the demon trembled for a moment before shattering into pieces. The space inside was also completely shattered, and many of the items inside were crushed. With a glance, Shuang saw that within the small space that was like a bubble bursting, a crystal ball had also shattered. Within the crystal ball, there were a large number of human souls howling. As the crystal ball shattered, these human souls regained their freedom and disappeared under the laws of the heaven and earth. Damnable demons! A cold light flashed in Dongbo Shuaying's eyes. He knew that the human souls captured within the crystal ball would eventually be offered to demon generals, rank 5 demons, and a small number of other demons. For example, the demons in the 5 minor transcendent worlds. Their main bodies were always there and could not come out to hunt. Naturally, they would have to rely on weaker demons to hunt for them. However, what this weak demon said was right. Dongbo Shuang looked at the village that had already turned into a wasteland. There are too few transcendents in our Xia people. The chances of us discovering them hunting is too low. Thus, the mortals were killed by them in batches. Dongbu Shuang was furious and unwilling to accept this. According to history, as time passed, the number of transcendents in the Xia people would decrease. The places they could patrol would also decrease, and the demons would become even more rampant. Of course, if one stood by the river for too long, one's shoes would get wet. The demons would hunt time and time again. As long as they were met once, they would die. However, this cruel process would last for over 1,000 years. Half a year. Let's wait for another half a year. Dongbu Shuang immediately transmitted a message to the Infernal Palace and sent the location of the map over. I discovered demons here. They have already been eliminated by me. He believed that there would be people from the Dragon Mountain Manor coming to clean them up soon. After which, Dongbu Shuang turned and left. Chapter 201. 2 months after Dongbu Shuang had grasped the true meaning of extreme piercing, a group from a large and luxurious family was traveling on the official road. In one of the spacious carriages, a fat man with fair skin was lying down. There were 4 beautiful maids accompanying him. Some were massaging his head and shoulders, some were massaging his legs, and some were peeling fruits for him to eat. This fat man was enjoying himself very much. This is so comfortable. Even if I don't devour these delicious human souls, just enjoying myself in the mortal world. It's much more comfortable than being in the abyss. The fatty was enjoying himself. My luck is really good. I managed to barge in before the spatial passageway dissipated. I wasn't even killed by that terrifying female demigod of the Xia people. Back then, on the day he barged in, the transcendent of the Xia people, City Lord Bu, wielded a deity weapon. Her power swept in all directions, annihilating a large number of demons. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, a knocking sound could be heard from outside the carriage. Following that, a voice could be heard. My lord. Enter, the fatty said calmly. Hua. The carriage door was pulled open completely. A golden-robed youth entered the carriage and sat down carefully. The fatty glanced at him. What's the matter? My lord, there's a small problem. The golden-robed youth said carefully. He was very clear that this fatty was from the organization and had an extremely high status. Even the patriarch of the clan had to be polite to him. The golden-robed youth did not dare to be negligent. Moreover, this fatty's strength was unfathomable. What kind of trouble? Why are you still bothering me? The fatty frowned. As an abyss demon, he liked to enjoy life. He did not like troublesome matters. Our men have already caught up to that female slave who escaped. However, she's actually being protected by an expert who seems to be a Silver Moon Knight. Furthermore, he even killed 2 of our men. Our men do not dare to act rashly. The golden-robed youth reported in a low voice, that's probably a Silver Moon Knight. Even if our entire team were to surround and kill them and seize the female slaves, I'm afraid that many of the knights and mages in the team would die. My lord, what should we do now? Where's the female slave? The fatty frowned. 5 kilometers ahead. The golden-robed youth said hurriedly, a group of our people are currently following them. All a bunch of idiots. Just follow them. Leave them to me, the fatty said calmly. Yes. The golden-robed youth was overjoyed. He hurried out to urge the rest of the team, hurry, hurry, hurry. Hurry up. The team immediately sped up. The fatty sneered and continued to lie there comfortably. He simply looked down on mortal experts. Although he was now in human form and did not dare to use the magic in his body. However, even with pure physical strength, killing a legend ranker was still a piece of cake. Of course, he wouldn't really make a move unless it was absolutely necessary. It's boring for a demon like me to bully these mortals. I have no choice but to hide my magic power. The fat man muttered to himself. If it weren't for the fact that he had to hide his violence, he would have unleashed his full power, even millions of mortals would have been slaughtered by him. The most painful thing was that he didn't dare to use his magic power. He couldn't use any of his secret techniques, nor could he devour human souls. He could only display the most basic of physical strength and speed. He did not even dare to display the grade 7 true meaning he had grasped. The moment the might of a true meaning was discovered, it would also be suspected. Hung long long. The hooves of the horses trampled on the ground. This luxurious team galloped down, covering a distance of 5 kilometers in the blink of an eye. Surround him. The golden-robed youth shouted angrily as he pointed to the front. Lu. Immediately, the team of cavalrymen moved to surround him. The mages also prepared to cast their spells. They surrounded the target layer by layer. At the side of the official road. Surrounded were 2 people and a treading snow horse. The 2 people were a delicate and pretty young lady and a green-robed male with a saber on his back. The young lady was extremely nervous as she looked at the large number of cavalrymen surrounding them. There were even some powerful heaven-ranked knights and even meteor-ranked knights. This caused the young lady to feel extremely uneasy. That delicate body of hers could not help but tremble. She looked at the green-robed male beside her. Don't panic. Eat something in peace. You haven't eaten for a few days. The green-robed male smiled and comforted her. But they're already here and have surrounded this place. Uncle. The young lady clenched her teeth. If there's no other way, Uncle, you don't have to care about me. This night. The golden-robed youth shouted from atop his horse, this female slave's entire family committed a serious crime. She was demoted to a slave. Now, she's my Gui clan's female slave. You'd better not interfere. Otherwise, I'll report this to the higher-ups. You forcefully snatched my Gui clan's female slave. This is a violation of the Empire's laws. Even if Dragon Mountain Manor captures you, you'll still be imprisoned for a few years. Your Gui clan's young master failed to woo her, so you dare to distort the truth and destroy her entire family. You even turned this young lady into a female slave. A cold glint flashed in the green-robed male's eyes. Your methods are truly ruthless. Humph, the golden-robed youth angrily snorted. He immediately got off his horse and walked to the side of the carriage. He was incomparably respectful. Sir. A cold snort was heard. A fat man walked out of the carriage. His eyes were ice-cold as he looked at the green-robed male in front of him. You dare to oppose the Gui clan? You truly overestimate yourself. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. The moment he said this, the mages began to silently chant incantations. Uncle. The young lady hastily said, Uncle, hurry up and leave. I don't wish for you to be killed by them. The green-robed male, who was also Dongbu Shuang, laughed and said, Don't be afraid. They can't kill me. These few days, he had been immersed in his cultivation. On the 9th day after grasping the true meaning of extreme piercing, he had successfully grasped the true meaning of star. It was faster than expected. Currently, Dongbu Shuaying's main focus was on the true meaning of mirage. He had always been researching and comprehending it. Kill. The fat man pointed at Dongbu Shuaying and shouted angrily. Boom! The mages who had been chanting their incantations and were ready to attack almost simultaneously. Among these mages, the strongest were 2 meteor rank mages. This group of 9 mages cast a combination type of spell. Its power was comparable to that of a tier 5 spell. Even an ordinary silver moon knight would be injured. Under the joint efforts of the 9 mages, a violent gale started to appear around Dongbu Shuang and the young lady. This was a spell called Destructive Wind Whirlpool. It would form a whirlpool of wind, and within the whirlpool were countless black wind blades. It was extremely powerful. Even a silver moon knight would find it hard to protect himself by relying on his battle chi. He had to quickly escape from the range of this destructive wind whirlpool. Humph, Dongbu Shuang snorted coldly. He directly manipulated the heaven and earth energy to break this spell. The violent gale that had just appeared dissipated into thin air. The spell didn't form. It's one with the heavens. The knights and mages were all shocked. The fat man's expression changed, and the golden-robed young man's face turned pale. My lord. The fat man hurriedly bowed. However, due to his huge stomach, it was extremely difficult for him to even bow. He was so frightened that his forehead was filled with cold sweat. We have offended you, my lord. How do you want to punish us? At the same time, he immediately used his communication treasure to report, discovered a suspected transcendent. The fat man immediately transmitted the exact location of the map as well as Dongbu Shui Ying's current appearance. I've discovered another suspected transcendent. Even if it's just a legend ranker, it's still considered a meritorious deed. The fat man was secretly excited. This foolish human, I'll let you be happy for now. In just a breath's time, the rank 5 demon lord's demonic avatar will arrive. He disguised himself as a human, and was extremely cautious. The mages that he brought along were specially arranged by him. Destructive Wind Whirlpool was a spell that could easily detect the enemy's strength. Because this spell was made of countless black wind blades, even a legend ranker would find it hard to block so many wind blades with their speed alone. If someone could block it without relying on the heaven and earth energy, that person would definitely be a transcendent. If that person relied on the heaven and earth energy, that person would at least be a legend ranker. One must know that even legend rankers would hide their identity and borrow the heaven and earth energy to search for traces of demons. The range that they could detect was relatively smaller, but they still discovered some evil demons. Dongbu Shuang did not place these people in his eyes at all. Suddenly, he frowned and turned to look at the distant void. With his true meaning of star and his control over the laws of heaven and earth, he easily discovered that there was a terrifying and powerful force approaching from the distant void. This force was definitely not of the saint rank, but of the demigod rank. Chapter 202. Within the torn space passage. The purple-scaled, skinny demon was traveling at high speed. He was the supreme leader of the demons hiding in the darkness of the 5 northern provinces, Demon General Yenzhe. Ever since demonic god Wu Yunhua pointed out the threat of Dongbu Shuang, General Yenzhe had always wanted to kill Dongbu Shuang. However, when Dongbu Shuang wasn't hiding his identity, he would be in Snowrock Castle. There was already a formation set up there that was enough to trap him for a while. And if he changed his appearance and concealed his aura, it would not be easy to find Dongbu Shuang. For the past 10 years, he had met Dongbu Shuang twice, and he had personally sent his mana avatar to take action. It must be known that every action he took was very dangerous because he was in the mortal world. Using his mana avatar would easily expose him. But he felt it was worth it. Every time his mana avatar moved, he would immediately change the position of the warship. After the battle, his mana avatar would also go to the void layer for half an hour. In short, he would use all sorts of methods to minimize the risk of being exposed. The demons under my command and the demonic faction have done a lot of research on Dongbu Shuaying's character. Moreover, 3 transcendents have died in Tranquil Sun Province, and there are only a few transcendents left. General Yenzhe thought, according to our research and elimination, there is at least a 30% chance that it is Dongbu Shuaying. This genius that is stronger than Qi Qiu Bai must be eradicated while he is still weak. Boom! He flew with all his might through the space passage. Due to the distance, even if he passed through the passage, it would still take him a breath's time to arrive. I hope it is Dongbu Shuang this time. I was wrong the first 2 times, and I had a 30% to 40% chance each time. I don't believe that I will be wrong the 3rd time. As long as I succeed, this disaster will be eliminated. General Yanzei thought. The 5 demon generals all had different personalities, but he was the calmest and most cautious one. Beside the official road, the Gue family's knights and mages quickly retreated, no longer daring to surround him. They were all very respectful. How could they dare to offend a legend rank expert? The fat man and the golden-robed youth were also extremely respectful and fawning. Uncle, are you a titled knight? The young girl was so excited that tears flowed down her cheeks. She saw the hope of revenge. Uncle, my parents and my sister were really wronged. Wait. Dongbu Shuang frowned and stretched out his hand. The girl was stunned. She suddenly felt that, wasn't she being too insatiable? This legend ranker had saved her, and now she needed his help. What a powerful aura. Demigod? Dongbu Shuang frowned as he turned to look at the faraway void. The true meaning of Star's gravity domain had a huge effect on space. With the user as the center, as long as it was within a radius of 50 kilometers, it would all be within the range of the gravity domain. On the other hand, this fearsome gravitational field was extremely fearsome as well. It had a huge influence on even space itself. In the future, with the rise of his cultivation, the powerful gravitational field would even be able to affect time itself. As such, even the tiniest ripple in space was easily grasped by Dongbu Shuang. There's a demigod being approaching us through a spatial tunnel. Dongbu Shuang thought to himself. Just as this thought flashed across his mind, Selah, the faraway void was directly torn apart by an invisible force, revealing an ugly crack in space. At the same time, a skinny purple-scaled demon emitting a terrifying evil aura walked out. General Yanzei of the 5 great demon generals. Dongbu Shuaying's expression changed slightly as he immediately reported to the infernal palace. General Yanzei has appeared. It should be his demonic avatar. He's right here. Snow Eagle, I've already informed Eternal Wind, Chao Qing, and Si Kong Yang. The 3 of them are rushing over. Palace Lord Qin replied. What is that? Heavens! Demon! The passers-by on the official road, including the knights and mages, the weak young girl and the big fatty, all had a look of fear on their faces. The big fatty was indeed terrified. He didn't expect that it wasn't the demonic avatar of a rank 5 demon. Instead, it was the high and mighty General Yanzei. When General Yanzei's demonic avatar appeared, he didn't conceal his majestic demonic energy at all. The powerful energy caused the surrounding void to tremble, causing countless cracks to appear. He looked down and his gaze landed on Dongbu Shuang. Dongbu Shuang. General Yanzei's majestic voice resounded through the sky. Die. Dongbu Shuang was slightly surprised. He was discovered. How did he get discovered? He had concealed himself rather well. What he didn't know was that General Yanzei only had a 30% to 40% chance of success. If it was against other transcendents, the demon general wouldn't be willing to take the risk. However, against Dongbu Shuang, General Yanzei felt that it was worth the risk. Boom! Dongbu Shuang immediately soared into the sky and flew away at lightning speed. He didn't want to harm the mortals. Do you think you can escape? General Yanzei directly teleported and appeared near Dongbu Shuang. Snow Eagle, there's no need to do anything. Leave this to me. Suddenly, a voice rang in Dongbu Shuaying's ears. Dongbu Shuang was shocked. He naturally wasn't afraid of this General Yanzei. Both the true meaning of star and the true meaning of extreme shuttle allowed him to survive. Even if he were to conceal his strength, he could still make use of the gravity domain to control the surrounding 50 kilometers of space and easily teleport. As his cultivation realm and strength increased, even if he didn't comprehend the profound mysteries of space, he would still be able to teleport, tear space, etc. For demigods, all of them could teleport and pierce through the void. For example, deities, even if they didn't comprehend time, they would still be able to influence time as their cultivation realm and strength increased. It was one thing for Dongbu Shui Ying's extreme piercing to be too tyrannical. As for the true meaning of star, it was a very balanced true meaning. The gravity domain's control over the surrounding space allowed Dongbu Shui Ying's control over space to be even higher than many demigods. Even during a battle, he could easily teleport. Unless someone sealed the space, he wouldn't be able to teleport. However, at such a time, he could still rely on his extreme piercing to forcefully pierce through space. A simple teleportation was too common. General Yan Zhe would only think that Dongbu Shuang was too slippery. Next time, he would probably bring along a rank 5 demon that could seal space. However, there was no longer a need for Dongbu Shuang to hide his strength and escape. That was because he had a helper. See, General Yan Zhe's demon claw turned into a beam of light particles and attacked Dongbu Shuang. Demon! How dare you! Following a loud roar that shook the heavens and earth. A greenish-gray bracelet on Dongbu Shui Ying's wrist suddenly turned into countless greenish-gray streams of air that covered the sky and instantly enveloped General Yan Zhe. Clan Protection Treasure. Dongbu Shuang was astonished. That greenish-gray bracelet was one of the 2 protective treasures that the Palace Lord Chen had given him. The other was forged by the Purple Thunder Emperor. As for this ordinary-looking greenish-gray bracelet, it was actually the Palace Lord Chen's clan protection treasure. Deity Warrior. General Yan Zhe's demonic doppelganger let out a cry of surprise. However, in his heart, he was cursing. A transcendent actually has the protection of the Xia people's deity warrior? Even a demigod wouldn't bring a deity warrior with him, right? It seems like this Dongbu Shuang is truly a top-notch genius among the Xia people. The Xia people really value him and even allowed him to bring a deity warrior with him. This time, I'm in trouble. My demonic doppelganger isn't my main body after all. I don't have any physical strength, and my mana is being rapidly depleted. An earth-shattering greenish-gray stream of air completely enveloped the demonic doppelganger, forming a huge greenish-gray sphere with a diameter of about 100 meters. General Yan Zhe struggled. Every move he made had the power to shatter the heavens and the earth. His sharp claws pierced through the greenish-gray stream of air, but the greenish-gray stream of air once again enveloped him. Roar! What followed was an enraged roar. A ray of purple light particles instantly pierced through the greenish-gray stream of air, tearing the space apart and rushing into the void. At the same time, the greenish-gray stream of air chased after the demonic doppelganger. Deity Warrior. Dongbu Shuang looked at this scene in astonishment. Palace Lord Chen, the clan protection treasure that you gave me is a deity warrior? Dongbu Shuang transmitted a message to ask. He had always thought that it was a special artifact. Ha, I didn't tell you before because I was worried that you would slack off in your cultivation with this artifact. Palace Lord Chen transmitted a message. Furthermore, how could a normal artifact be able to sense danger in the surroundings in advance? The deity warriors are all extremely powerful and have their own intelligence. They are also extremely loyal and will constantly sense danger in the surroundings. That's why they are able to protect you perfectly. I'm not wrong. The Xia people have very few deity warriors, and every single one of them is a clan protection treasure. Dongbu Shuang was speechless. Alright. No wonder Palace Lord Chen and the rest were at ease. It turned out that he had placed a deity warrior by his side. The deity warrior was an item from the deity realm, and was extremely mysterious. For example, the deity warrior that he had fought in the transcendent battle of life and death, was actually a drop of water. It looked like an ordinary drop of water. If no one pointed it out, even the demigods of the Xia people would not be able to discover its uniqueness. It was the same for the deity warrior that was protecting him. It was a gray bracelet that also looked ordinary. Rumble, at this moment, within the void, under the control of the deity warrior, Qiu Qi Bai and Chao Qing had also arrived. They surrounded and attacked the demonic avatar of General Yen Zhe. Chapter 203. The passers-by, knights, and sorcerers on the official road were all panicking. Everything that was happening before their eyes was beyond their imagination. Among them, the fatty was the one who was the most panicking. It's over, it's over. General Yen Zhe's demonic avatar actually encountered a celestial world warrior. I've always heard that the Xia people have celestial world warriors. But the Xia people only have a few celestial world warriors. How could one of them be here? The Xia clan will definitely suspect that there are demons hiding in the surroundings. Right now, they are besieging the general. Once they get rid of the general, I'm afraid they will go through all the mortals in the surroundings. The big fatty was very uneasy. Under normal circumstances, the demons would hide among the mortals. When they find a suspected transcendent and report it, the demonic avatar of the 5th grade demon would attack and kill the human transcendent. Once the transcendent was killed, the hidden demon would take the opportunity to escape to a place with a lot of people. This Dongbua Shuang is right there. He has been using the power of heaven and earth to investigate the surroundings. The moment I escape, he will immediately discover me. The big fatty was incomparably anxious. But if I don't escape, the demigods of the Xia clan will arrive. There are only about 100 or so people around this official road, and they can easily filter through all of them. By then, they will definitely find out my identity. As long as he forcefully permeated the body of a mortal with his transcendent qi, he would be able to do a check. Because the transcendent Do Qi was too strong, if he was careless, the transcendent Do Qi could easily tear the mortals to shreds. However, it was not a problem to be careful. In a city with millions of people, it was very troublesome to search them one by one. However, there were only about 100 people in the surroundings. An hour was enough to inspect each of them. If I don't escape, I will definitely die. If I escape, there is still hope. This Dongbua Shuang is also a saint transcendent. I'm afraid he won't be able to catch up to me. The fatty was anxious, but he immediately gritted his teeth and made up his mind. If a demigod comes, I will definitely die. Go! Boom! The fatty who had been hiding among the knights and magicians suddenly turned into a streak of light and shot into the sky. His speed was so fast that it was even faster than Dongbua Shuaying's escape speed. Of course, Dongbua Shuaying was intentionally concealing his strength. If he were to fly at full speed, his speed would be too terrifying, and General Yen Zhe would be suspicious of him. At this moment, the fat man was desperately running for his life. His mana was completely unleashed, and he didn't hide it in the slightest. Ah! The knights and mages were all shocked. The golden-robed youth from the Gue clan was also incomparably shocked. Flying in the sky and burrowing underground? He is transcendent? Or a demon? Escape? In mid-air, Dongbua Shuang, who was still pondering about General Yen Zhe, turned his head and looked at the streak of light that was escaping at a high speed. The streak of light had already flown to the edge of the sky. It was obvious that it was trying its best to escape from Dongbua Shuaying's detection range of the heaven and earth energy. By then, it would be able to find a random village and change its appearance to conceal its aura. By then, the Xia people would be searching for a needle in a haystack. How would they be able to find it? Dongbua Shuang flicked his finger lightly. Xiao. A strand of transcendent qi that carried the true meaning of extreme piercing instantly pierced through the obstruction of space. Following which, it appeared at the far end of the sky where the streak of light was. At this moment, in order to escape as fast as possible, this fat demon had already transformed his body into particles and attached himself to the heaven and earth energy. Selah, the strand of transcendent chi that carried the might of the true meaning instantly clashed against the streak of light. Under the effects of the true meaning, the streak of light started to disintegrate. The most basic particles of the body started to disintegrate, and the weapons on his body started to disintegrate. Even his storage treasures were shattered. Without sufficient strength, it was impossible to survive under the effects of the true meaning. Ah! Sensing that his body was about to disintegrate, the fat demon tried his best to reform his body. His demon face was filled with malevolence and unwillingness. Dongbua Shuang, he, who? His entire body turned into nothingness and disappeared. Only a few treasures and special materials were left behind, falling from the sky. The vision of mortals was truly limited. Just now, that demon had already escaped 5 li away. Moreover, his speed was too fast for them to see clearly. They could not even see the few materials that fell from the sky clearly. So weak. Dongbua Shuang thought, I wonder if he's a rank 3 or 4 demon. In front of him, there was no difference between a rank 3 and a rank 4 demon. They would both be killed in an instant. A rank 5 demon might still be able to struggle. Only demigods could truly fight against him. Among the rank 5 demons, only the few at the apex could exchange a few moves with him. For example, the strongest rank 5 demon, Ji Er Luo, was even stronger than Qi Qiu Bai back then. He had grasped hold of 2 different grade 3 true meanings, one of which had reached the stage 2 realm. Dongbua Shuang had to pay attention to him as well. After a few breaths of time. Selah, in midair, a pitch-black spatial crack suddenly appeared. 3 figures flew out from it. They were Qi Qiu Bai, Chao Qing, and Si Kong Yang. All of them had the combat power of the top 10 demigods. Of course, because Qi Qiu Bai had just become a demigod not long ago, coupled with the outbreak of the war with the demons, the Xia people temporarily did not list him on the list. In reality, after Qi Qiu Bai wielded a deity weapon, he had the combat power of a demigod. When his true meaning of void cleavage reached the stage 3 realm, he would be able to reach the top 2. Snow Eagle. Qi Qiu Bai, Chao Qing, and Si Kong Yang all flew over. How is it? Dongbua Shuang hurriedly asked. The moment he sensed our undulations, he stopped escaping. Qi Qiu Bai shook his head. We were still planning to follow him from afar and find his true body. But this General Yen Zai's combat power is indeed terrifying, and his comprehension of the realm is very high. I can be considered to be very proficient in the field of space. I was barely able to sense his position, but he had already discovered us. He no longer tried to escape. Instead, he frantically counterattacked, wanting to kill me. Even with my deity weapon and the help of the deity warrior, I could only fight to a draw. If not for the deity warrior, I would definitely be at a disadvantage. This General Yen Zai's combat power is very strong. Chao Qing nodded. His demonic avatar is stronger than ours. I estimate that his true body should have the combat power of Mountain Lord He when he wielded the deity weapon. That's right. Si Kong Yang frowned. Who would have thought that this demon general who hid himself the deepest would be so strong? His true meaning is the grade 3 true meaning of particles. I feel that he should have reached the stage 3 realm. Emen, Qi Qiu Bai and Chao Qing were slightly worried. The Xia people had already investigated and found out that there were a total of 5 demon generals. There were differences in their combat power, but all of them had the combat power of the top 10 demigods. The so-called top 10 of the demigod list included divine weapons. There was only one who could match up to Mountain Lord He's level. And now, there was another one. Right, this General Yen Zai's sudden attack, Snow Eagle, you must have been discovered by a certain demon. That demon must have reported it. Si Kong Yang's gaze swept downwards. During this period of time, did any mortals or wild beasts or birds escape at high speed? Yes. Dongbu Shuang laughed. That demon was afraid of your arrival, so he fled in panic. I've already killed him. Oh, what level of demon was it? Si Kongyang asked. Rank 3 demon, Dongbu Shuang replied. He himself was not sure if it was a rank 3 or 4 demon. Since there was no evidence, he could only say it was a lower level demon. Actually, after Dongbu Shuang grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, if Dongbu Shuang felt that it was necessary, he could directly give him many treasures. The Xia people had this rule to nurture geniuses. For example, after Qi Qiubai became a demigod, he quickly obtained a deity weapon. These were all directly given to him. Of course, if he became a deity in the future, before ascending to the deity world, he would have to leave behind a deity weapon. These deity weapons were sent back by the ancestors of the Xia people after paying a huge price. Every Xia people could only use them temporarily. Before ascending to the deity world, they had to leave them behind. Unless they obtained a deity weapon themselves. Rank 3 demon. Si Kongyang did not continue asking. Instead, he frowned and said in a low voice, "How could you be so careless? You actually let the demon discover a flaw. You were quite cautious in the past." He felt that since Dongbu Shuang had grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, he should be more careful. Previously, Dongbu Shuang had never encountered such a situation. "I'm ashamed." Dongbu Shuang did not explain. If it were in the past, he would definitely not have used the world energy to break that spell. Instead, he was filled with confidence after grasping hold of 2 different grade 2 true meanings. Thus, when he acted, he would occasionally reveal a flaw. Even if he lured out a demon, or even a demigod demon's demonic avatar. That would still be a good thing. He could just kill it. Qi Qiubai, Si Kongyang, Chao Qing, and the rest chatted with Dongbu Shuang for a short while before parting ways. As for the matter of him grasping hold of a grade 2 true meaning, Dongbu Shuang was not in a hurry to tell them. Even though he would need the help of faction head Si Kongyang and the rest to attack the demon's lair in the minor transcendent world. It would not be too late to tell them at the last moment. It would be best if he could keep this information a secret. After all, the implications were too great. Since Palace Lord Qin did not tell them, he could not reveal it on his own. Who? Dongbu Shuang descended from the sky, landing in front of that young lady. Uncle. The young lady was both emotional and complicated. My parents, little Miss Yen Han. Dongbu Shuang laughed, "Rest assured. I have already let Dragon Mountain Manor handle this matter. With their speed, they should be here soon. As for the Gui family, they are actually colluding with the demons. Dragon Mountain Manor has already sent people to the Gui family to arrest everyone there." Ah! That golden-robed teenager and the other knights and mages were all stunned. The Gui family was finished. Colluding with the demons? This green-robed teenager in front of them was actually the legendary character of the Sun Province, Transcendent Dongbu Shuang. Now that they were in his hands, he had personally ordered them to do so. Even if they wanted to bribe some of the people from Dragon Mountain Manor, it would be useless. Sir Dongbu Shuang, our Gui family is innocent. We have been wrongly accused. We did not know that he was a demon. The golden-robed teenager anxiously shouted. He might have hidden his identity and sneaked into your Gui family. Your Gui family is innocent. Dongbu Shuang glanced at him, but don't worry. Dragon Mountain Manor will not dare to mess around with the matters I have arranged. If you are innocent, they will naturally not involve you. But if you are not innocent, you will definitely not be able to escape. We're finished. The golden-robed teenager's body softened. Their Gui family did not know about the demons. However, their Gui family could not withstand the Dragon Mountain Manor's arrest and investigation. The Gui family's deepest secret would definitely be exposed. Dongbu Shuang was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he stayed by the side of this pitiful young lady for a while. Only when a flying boat from Dragon Mountain Manor arrived and took over everything did Dongbu Shuang leave. Chapter 204. In the main hall of a mysterious battleship hidden deep underground, General Yen Zhe clutched his head in pain. Damn it! General Yen Zhe felt the pain of his soul being torn apart. When his demonic avatar was destroyed, that strand of his soul was also destroyed. This was the damage to the foundation of his soul. His demonic face was incomparably malevolent. Just a little more, just a little more. This time, I found Dongbu Shuang. Who would have thought that the Xia people would actually arrange a deity warrior to protect him? Due to the restrictions of the laws of heaven and earth, the deity warriors sent by the ancestors of the Xia people were only at the peak of the demigod rank. It was impossible for them to reach the level of a deity. However, they were ultimately deity warriors. Every single one of them was made of extraordinary materials. Forget about demigods, even if a real deity attacked, it would be extremely difficult to destroy a deity warrior. This time, the deity warrior sent by the Xia people to protect Dongbu Shuang was the most proficient in protection. If it were to intentionally protect him, the demon general would not be able to kill Dongbu Shuang. Unless the others join hands with me, there will only be a chance. General Yen Zhe's body was trembling. Having his soul torn apart was indeed extremely painful. However, since we have already sent out the deity warrior, the Xia people will probably give Dongbu Shuang other life-saving treasures, right? If that's the case, he should be able to hold on for at least a breath of time. The more he thought about it, the more General Yen Zhe felt that killing Dongbu Shuang would be extremely difficult. If the Xia people were really willing to pay any price to protect Dongbu Shuang, then it would be extremely difficult for them to kill him. If not for the deity warrior, I might have been able to kill him in one move. General Yen Zhe did not place Dongbu Shuang in his eyes at all. Perhaps in the future, Dongbu Shuang would be very strong. But now, he felt that he would be able to kill him in one move. Forget it. Since the Xia people place so much importance on him, there is no chance to kill him. Then forget it, there is no need to care about him. Even if he wanted to grow. Just to reach the top 10 of the demigod list would require 200 to 300 years. It would take at least 500 years for him to reach the first or second rank of the demigod list. And this is under the condition that everything is going smoothly. Who knows, he might be stuck at a certain point for a long time, General Yen Zhe thought to himself. With Chao Qing and Qi Qiu Bai's current strength, even if there was one more, it wouldn't matter to the demons. After all, the more lice there were, the less one would be afraid of the itch. The Xia clan had a huge advantage in terms of peak combat power. Every single one of those divine world warriors was terrifying. One more or one less top 10 demigods would not affect the overall situation. Unless there was another expert on the level of Mountain Lord He, the impact would be much greater. That will probably take a few hundred years. With the help of these human souls, I will try my best to improve my strength. Once my strength increases again. Once I condense a devil heart, General Yen Zhe was looking forward to it. Dongbu Shuang, on the other hand, continued to search for traces of the evil demons. In September, he returned to Snow Rock Castle. He had been concentrating on comprehending, cultivating his spear arts, and pondering over the true meaning of mirage. He wanted to successfully cultivate it before the half-year deadline was up. Dragon Mountain Calendar, December, year 9680. In this world, not everything will go according to one's will. Dongbu Shuang and Jing Qiu, this young couple, stood side by side on the peak of Snow Rock Mountain. They looked at the silver sky, the undulating earth, the towering mountain peaks, and the scattered villages. Jing Qiu, I need to go out for a while, Dongbo Shuang said. Go out? Jing Qiu was startled. Is it very important? Wait for me to return, and you will know. Dongbo Shuang laughed. For now, I have to keep it a secret. Jing Qiu did not ask any further. She only held on to Dongbo Shuang's hand and said softly, you need to be careful. Dongbo Shuang nodded. At the same time, Dongbo Shuang sent a message to Palace Lord Chen. Palace Lord Chen, I'm ready. It's time to set off. I've been waiting for your news. Alright, I've already arranged the gathering point. Faction head Si Kong Yang, Mountain Lord He, and Eternal Wind will be rushing over. You can set off in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. Palace Lord Chen immediately replied. At the same time, he sent over a map. The map was clearly marked. Dongbo Shuang only needed a single glance to know that it was a nameless mountain 1,800 li away from Eternal Wind Academy. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Dongbo Shuang bade farewell to Jing Qiu. Shua. First, he teleported to a valley 50 li away. Then, with a wave of his hand, Dongbo Shuang displayed the true meaning of extreme piercing, forcefully tearing open a spatial tunnel. With the power of the true meaning of extreme piercing, it was completely capable of tearing open a spatial tunnel. Even those weaker than him who had just stepped into the demigod realm could do this. The reason why he did not display it in front of Jing Qiu was because he did not want to expose it. Although he had absolute trust in Jing Qiu, this matter involved the entire Xia people. He had to be careful with every step he took. Moreover, there were many people around Snow Rock Mountain. Tearing open a spatial tunnel would cause quite a commotion. Who? Dongbo Shuang directly flew into the spatial tunnel. This was a strange and dazzling spatial tunnel. Dongbo Shuang flew at full speed along the spatial tunnel. At the same time, the transcendent qi protecting his body was imbued with the true meaning of extreme piercing. He continued to move forward. After flying for a breath's time, the transcendent qi, imbued with the true meaning of extreme piercing, directly broke through the spatial membrane in front of him and entered the mortal world. On a mountain peak, Mountain Lord He's aura was distant. Faction head Si Kong Yang was like the sun in the sky. His aura was tyrannical. Qi Qiu Bai's white hair fluttered in the wind, giving off a feeling of vicissitudes. Palace Lord Chen told us to come here and even told me to conceal the surroundings so that no one would discover the commotion here. Qi Qiu Bai was puzzled. What exactly does Palace Lord Chen plan to do? Just wait and you'll know. Mountain Lord He was very calm. I feel that this matter is very important. Si Kong Yang said. Qi Qiu Bai curled his lips. Of course it's important. The two of you are the strongest among the Xia people. With both of you taking action, how could it not be important? A moment later, Qi Qiu Bai, Mountain Lord He, and Si Kong Yang turned their heads to look at the void to the side. The three of them could feel a force rapidly approaching them. Si La, in midair, the void was torn apart, and a black-robed youth flew out. Ah! Qi Qiu Bai and Si Kong Yang's eyes widened. Dongbo Shuang. Mountain Lord He was also shocked, but he soon revealed a smile. Snow Eagle, you can tear a spatial tunnel. Qi Qiu Bai's eyes widened. Normally, only demigods could tear a spatial tunnel apart. Of course, for transcendence below the demigod realm, if they specialized in the profound mysteries of space, they could also do it. But Dongbo Shuang did not specialize in the profound mysteries of space. You? Si Kong Yang became nervous. You've already. I've grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. Dongbo Shuang landed on the mountain peak and nodded with a smile. Grade 2 true meaning. Mountain Lord He's eyes brightened. He smiled at Si Kong Yang and Qi Qiu Bai. It seems that you've been hiding quite a bit from me. I've been waiting for the day you grasped hold of the embryonic form of your true meaning. Our Xia people have given birth to the second transcendent in history who grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. Qi Qiu Bai was very excited. Now that you've grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, are you planning to attack? Yes. In order to prevent this matter from being leaked, I didn't dare to say it before. Dongbo Shuang explained. You should know that the elites of the demons have occupied those 5 minor transcendent worlds, bringing about endless disasters. Attacking those 5 minor transcendent worlds will have a huge impact. Thus, we'll do our best to keep it a secret. I didn't tell you about it until now. That's great. Qi Qiu Bai was incomparably excited. Our Xia people are truly blessed to have given birth to a genius like Snow Eagle, Mountain Lord, he praised. After dealing with this disaster, our Xia people's transcendence will have a much better life. We won't have to worry about being ambushed by the demonic avatars of rank 5 demons anymore. Old Chen really hit it well. My Water Daoist faction's transcendent has grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, yet he didn't tell me. I've just scolded him. He even said, for the sake of the Xia people. He didn't do anything wrong. Si Kong Yang glared at him. After dealing with those minor transcendent worlds, I'll definitely make him bleed. I support you. When the time comes, I'll go with you. Mountain Lord, he beamed. Dongbo Shuang also laughed. He then went straight to the point. This time's mission is very simple. I'll enter the 5 minor transcendent worlds and attack them separately. As for the 3 of you, you'll stand guard outside the membrane of the minor transcendent worlds. If any demons try to escape, you'll have to kill them. As for those elite demons, the more you can kill, the better. He had confidence in successfully attacking them. But he had no confidence in killing all the demons. If you attack the first minor transcendent world, I'm afraid that the other 4 worlds will know about it. They have a weak heart-linking demon that can communicate with the outside world. Qi Qiu Bai frowned. Rest assured. I'll try my best to get rid of the heart-linking demon first. Dongbo Shuang replied. They're under the protection of the arrays. Can you kill the heart-linking demon without alerting them? Mountain Lord, he inquired. Furthermore, it's hard to tell which one is the heart-linking demon from their appearance. I'll try my best. Dongbo Shuang laughed. Mountain Lord, he, Si Kong Yang, Qi Qiu Bai, and Dongbo Shuang discussed for a while and no longer had any doubts. Let's go. Let's go to the first minor transcendent world first. Mountain Lord, he took the initiative. With a wave of his hand, a crack silently appeared in the space. Following which, the 4 of them flew into the spatial layer. Traveling through the void, they quickly reached their destination. In the chaotic spatial layer, the enormous membrane of a minor transcendent world was right in front of them. After I discover the location of the demon's nest, my Qi avatar will inform you of the exact location of the nest. The 3 of you will stand guard outside the corresponding world membrane. Dongbo Shuang said. A minor transcendent world was too big. It was unrealistic to guard all the regions. Communication was impossible within the minor transcendent world and the spatial layer. However, the 4 of them had Qi, magic power, avatars in the mortal world. Naturally, they could communicate. See La. Dongbo Shuang took a step forward. His body was covered with the true meaning of extreme piercing. So, he instantly pierced through the world membrane. The crack on the membrane rapidly closed up. We'll wait outside for Snow Eagle's news. Mountain Lord he, Si Kong Yang, and Qi Qiu Bai were all waiting in the chaotic spatial layer. As for Dongbo Shuang, he was already making his move in the minor transcendent world. On the last day of September, if you don't cast your monthly vote, it will expire. Remember to cast your monthly vote **********. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.